a good job. I mean, they would be a bit thick to stop you, wouldn't they?
Yeah, right?
But it was silly.
Still, it's so funny, isn't it?
I couldn't do that. I would do my nutting.
1991, Catherine Bigelow.
Quick clap and you guys can begin.
Okay.
Whenever you want.
Right. Okay.
Alright, troops. Fucking hate people that
Soft
do
open.
that. Alright, troops. It's me here. No, let's not do it.
Right, you done?
Aye.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to the Sorry I Don't podcast. Every week we review a different film, and this week it's Point Break. I'm Abby.
I'm Claude.
And I'm Swanee.
Great. So Point Break came out in 1991, directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Ooh.
We all watched it together a couple of days ago. I'd seen it a long time ago when I was a teenager, loved it. And you were both pretty much new to it.
Yep, I'd never seen it before Friday.
I'd heard about it and obviously seen it referenced in like Hot Fuzz.
Clearly not heard about it enough though, given that you
No.
didn't know it was about surfing.
Well, let me.
I honestly was like, I wonder how long it's going to take for that to come up. And I think we've got, what, like, has it even been a minute?
No.
Brilliant.
So look, in my defence, I knew there was surfing involved.
That's not what you were
Obviously.
telling us on Friday night.
I said I knew there was surfing involved, but I didn't think it was a surfing movie.
It's called Point Break.
Again, okay, I don't know much about surfing, and sure, Point Break does sound like it could be a surfing term, but it also could be, you know.
So
the
it was
point
gonna
of
be
breaking,
it was
the
the
point of a
Point
char-
of breaking.
Yeah, the point of breaking. Your character's about to break, or I'm at the point of breaking with this fucking emotional turmoil of a plot. Point Break.
Brilliant.
Right.
So I wasn't too sure about that, and
No, you really weren't.
no, I really wasn't. So I was really shocked, and I started to realise this. And I got quite fearful when I realised this might be a fully surfing movie, but thankfully it
So
wasn't.
in what way was it not fully a surfing movie to you?
Oh right. So when I turned to you guys and said the now infamous line, "Is this a surfing movie?" I was foreseeing that we'd be spending most of our time at sea, and that meant like, oh, lots of chats on surfboards. Lots of action scenes on surfboards. I thought we were going to be doing a heist on surfboards, and I was also worried we were going to be like,
What? At the Bank of Atlantis? Like,
on a ship or something. Like, oh, the ship's at sea, but it's got $14 million on it. We're going to go hit it. I was like,
right.
really prepared.
Can you move that?
Yeah,
Please. Thank
I
you.
was very prepared not to knock over drinks, but I almost did. No, but I was very much prepared just to be like, I'm gonna fucking hate this. I don't care. I don't like surfing.
Yes. Swanee,
But thankfully, it wasn't that.
No, it was not that. You ended up quite enjoying it.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
Maybe like 5 minutes before it ended, you began to enjoy it.
No, I enjoyed.
I personally had never watched it before. I'd been told by my mom to watch it loads of times. And then you picked it and we watched it together and I adored it. And I adored it so much. I watched it on Friday that I watched it again on Sunday when I was hungover, and I had an even better time the second time because I could quote bits of it, and it was just as class as it was the first time. So I enjoyed it a lot.
It's brilliant. And like I watched it for the first time, I think, when I was like 14 or something, and I think I just didn't understand that it was meant to be quite cheesy, and I took it like very seriously, and I thought it was an incredibly profound film, which arguably like maybe parts of it are, but I was like, this is up there with like fucking Shawshank Redemption, man. I'm like, this is a top tier Oscar winning worthy film, right? And then I watched it again when I was about 20 with a boyfriend at the time, and like it was so embarrassing because I had really, really been like, this is an incredible film. And I hadn't watched it like much since I was a teenager. And I watched it, I was like, this is very silly. Like, this is a very silly film. Within the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this is not what I remember it. And I think I still enjoyed it, but I was like, okay, it's gone down in my estimations as like an objectively good film. And then from watching it on Friday, I was like, nah, it's right back up there. This is so good. And like, yes, it's silly, and I'm not gonna like get a quote tattooed on my body like I had maybe previously really planned.
You still maybe should though.
That would be maybe.
You plan to get a Point Break quote
I don't even know
tattooed.
what. I had a lot of stupid tattoos that I wanted to get. When I was
Which
younger.
one?
I wanted to get Noah and the Whale tattoos on my arm of like Lifegoeson, like the title of the song.
What is the title of the song?
Lifegoeson.
Oh, right, so it's not an acronym.
It spells Life Goes On.
Oh.
And I drew it on myself every single day, just ready for the day that I would turn 16 and I could get it for real. Luckily, I didn't.
Maybe.
And I wanted to get The Lost Boys, The Goonies, and Point Break quotes on me.
Which
would have
Point
been
Break quote though?
horrific.
That's what I want to
I don't
know.
know. I can't even remember. I feel like it went backwards and forwards. And to be
Really?
honest, if you're going to get a Point Break tattoo, it should just be Keanu Reeves' face.
Yep.
Like,
I would say Patrick Swayze's face.
and as with Friday Night, Swanee is just not going to agree with us on anything.
Look. I was much more taken in by Patrick Swayze's entire presence in that film.
Getting flustered.
Getting flustered. Getting flustered. That's why I didn't bring a banana this week. Otherwise, aye. Don't know what that means. Right. No, Patrick Swayze is so good in this film. He just exudes this presence, and it was just like, this is perfect.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Keanu Reeves' acting performance, man.
Well, I am as well. No, I'm talking about both the acting and sex appeal. Swayze was quite. He was looking good.
It was
Yeah,
looking good.
He was looking good. A
They were,
close
they
second.
were both
I-
looking good. I just think Keanu Reeves looks a little bit weird when he's younger. That's it.
I actually lost my mind, by the way, knowing what age Patrick Swayze was when he filmed that.
What?
He was in his late 30s, which I didn't realise.
Yeah.
OMG.
I thought it was like, yeah.
OMG.
For some reason, I thought it was 41.
You
or
just
something.
say
I just said
OMG.
it, like out loud, OMG.
Late 30s.
I'm gonna take a couple of seconds to just cringe at myself for that. Spat on the chair.
Yeah, he was like 38. He's like,
He's doing well.
it doesn't look 38.
Yeah, I don't know what age the character's meant to be. I always assumed the character was like early
I was looking it
30s.
up. I don't think there's an established age because I was curious because obviously it's established that Keanu Reeves is 25.
25.
So I was like, I wonder how much older, because as well, doesn't it say that they've been doing bank heists for like ages? And I was like, how old is Patrick Swayze's character supposed to be?
I think it works then that he's a bit older because then that also gives
It does
credence to
work.
why he's like, nah, fuck it, we need to just keep going because he's like, getting older. So he's like,
Yeah.
he's looking at moving on from this and getting out of it, whilst also trying to beat and top what he's done before, which was very cool to watch. And he did it in a very sexy way.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's get into the film.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously we are introduced to Johnny Utah, and
Great name.
straight away, this is the first and by far not the most ridiculous of all of the names of the characters in this film. Like, and I think also because we watched it with subtitles on, we were especially blessed by getting to understand like maybe some character names that you would have missed or maybe weren't even said aloud. Honorable mention to Fiberglass.
Shout out to his family.
Gonna fucking scream.
Every episode.
This is becoming a bit.
Clearly.
It's getting cut every
Go
time.
for it. If you remember to, then you can.
Brilliant. Okay, so a lot of ridiculous names in this film. Johnny Utah, I mean, straight away, is just brilliant.
Tops it.
It's just every single sentence that I've written down about this film, I just like I can't take it seriously because I'm like, then Johnny Utah loses the love of his life. What?
It's perfect. 'Cause it's that perfect kind of silly, pulpy name that could maybe exist somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
It feels like a fake name.
Yeah.
in the first like 5 minutes of the film, you're introduced to Johnny Utah, Angelo Papas, and then what is the chief's name? He's got a
Played by
fucking
Gary Busey.
stupid name as well.
Oh, what is the chief's name? I didn't write it down because I just kept referring to him as Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
Which
Cox.
for
Was it J.C. McGinley? I think it's J.C. McGinley.
yeah,
That's
so
his name.
he also plays the mean doctor in Scrubs.
Dr. Cox.
Oh yeah, why am I? Oh my gosh, I feel like I've referred to him this whole way through as Dr. Cox, and I'm like, what was that guy's name again? I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a sort of host already of absolutely ridiculous characters. Johnny Utah just feels like, and then again, like he spends a lot of this film undercover,
Yep.
and like they know who he is because he was a pro American footballer, I think.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the
He was a college footballer, but that's like quite well seen.
yeah. It comes back to the Twilight School of why do these people bother creating such levels of elaborate cover for themselves but don't change their names?
I mean, it's the same as the James Bond problem, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
hi,
exactly.
I'm Bond, James Bond, top secret spy. Hi, I'm Johnny Utah, undercover cop for the FBI.
Hi, I'm Edward Cullen, the 119-year-old
Vampire.
high school
That
student.
hangs about.
We've got like a weird theme going on because another theme that we have accidentally established throughout the films we've been choosing for our podcast is that the main character sets out to do so much and achieves nothing, which is also the theme of this film as well.
It's brilliant. There's so many times where they're like, oh, you know, like, not this time. And it's like, not this time. He's never. That's his first job. And he does
17
Not
again.
this time, Utah. It's like, when has he ever done anything?
Yeah.
You know, you're
17
like,
again, he sets out to like heal his children. He traumatized them instead.
Yeah.
You know?
so profoundly.
James Bond, he doesn't do anything in Goldfinger. Same thing. Johnny Utah is the worst undercover cop in the entire world.
And I feel like the film actually makes a
He's
point
pretty
of
bad.
this.
I was trying to think of someone else, and there might be, but that's pretty.
Specifically
shocking.
undercover, he
Yes,
is
that's my foot.
absolutely shocking.
Sorry, I've just stood in
Sorry, I
Swanee's
don't.
foot. Sorry, I don't. Sorry, I did. Sorry, man. But no, Johnny Utah is, yeah, you're right. He's like one of the worst undercover cops of all time. And like the film doesn't even try to hide that. They're like, you're a better surfer than you are a cop. And it's like, he's been surfing for a week. And that is true. Like, and also, he's been a cop for like a week. And to be fair, also, I'm just like, this seems like a lot of responsibility to give a very, like, a new start.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like he comes in, and then everyone's like, kind of just been like, oh, hey. And then he immediately meets Gary Busey, who's given like so much insane energy, right?
Not
But
even.
we can't-
Before he meets Guy Busey, he meets the boss, who I think arguably gives off more insane energy. He is like just absolutely feral from the get go. Just calling him a punk and an idiot, and like say like, you know, or is it just like arseholes who are part of the force? Just like totally bullies him for no reason, no establishing reason anyway.
He bullies him over like such weird things as well. Because we start off, they're walking through the precinct together, we're following them, and he's just like, I don't stand for anything except extreme health. You must do this. You must wake up before 6 every day. And it's like basically me trying to talk you into turning your life around.
And then he's like,
and then he's like,
"Thanks."
sir, I take the skin off chicken. And then he turns around and he's gobbing a donut, which immediately like that endears me to him. I'm like, yes, I like this about you. But yeah, so Dr. Cox is then about to have like a fit of apoplectic rage at this, and then he's like, there must be an asshole shortage, and then Johnny Utah's like, not so far. And I'm like, okay, he seems to be, you know, as sympathetic as you can be with a FBI agent, I
Yeah.
guess. You're like, he seems as if he's, you know, got a bit of
he's also just immediately showing a wee bit of rebellion, which is
Yeah.
the theme of the
Rebellion.
theme of the film.
He's funny,
Yep.
and there's something, but he knows how to almost like colour inside the lines just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then, of course, we meet Gary Busey, right?
Exactly, and they have a very. I mean, this film just like moves. You know, you were saying it's a bit self-indulgent at times, and yeah, fair enough. But at this first bit of the film, yeah, literally about 5 minutes ago, man, right before we started rolling.
In a good way.
All right, okay, fair enough. But like,
I can't remember. I mean, I was asking, like, what was I saying?
2 hours and 2 minutes.
Go.
Bit indulgent.
Oh, right. Yes, I watched
which,
it.
to be fair, I feel like Glass Houses, Throwing Stones, our 2.5 hour podcast.
I know.
That's why I didn't say it live. Clearly.
But what I was going to argue in a counterpoint to that is that the first like maybe 5-7 minutes of this film happens so quickly. Like we meet the boss, then we meet the partner, and we're just in there straight away. Their relationship is established straight away. He's doing some weird kind of swimming challenge where he's got a bag over his head, and he just starts like mouthing off to this guy about how shit it is
Who's
to
doing
be.
this?
Gary
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 Busey.
Busey.
Busey, that's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely fucking nuts in this film. To be fair, he is pretty fucking nuts in real life, and with his choices of roles. But I really enjoyed his energy. Like as soon as he was there, I was like, okay, we've got the hard ass lieutenant, we've got the new whip smart rookie, and then we've got the mental like fucking partner who's a bit older and has some sort of weird crime that he's fixated on. I was like, cool. It's like it's just hitting all these little pulpy notes.
Yeah.
But with like, I mean, it's interesting because if it was made in the 80s, I feel like it'd be a bit more garish, but it's made in the 90s. So there's almost like this I don't know. It feels understated while being really bombastic at points as well.
The script is just insane as
Yeah.
well, which I love. It's just ridiculous. We're in
It's
the first.
absolutely unapologetic at all points.
Yeah.
It just does whatever it wants
Yeah, we'll
all
be
the time.
chill in this scene. High energy at the end of the scene. Then we'll be low key, surfer chill, philosophy,
Yeah.
explosion, something
I mean,
mental.
they take absolutely no time to establish what this film's about and just get it going. You know,
Yeah.
they don't take the piss with like an hour of exposition before they're like, okay, now we get into the plot. I think it's like,
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
it was made nowadays, I feel we'd have got maybe some of his stuff in the training. You know, we'd have got him in
Yeah.
training.
Quantico.
Maybe some flashback to his to like some
His football injury.
his football injury or
God,
his
this is the
dad.
kind of film I would make. I can see it playing out in front of me.
And it'd be-
Abby's cut of Point and Break, just like 3 hours of backstory.
Yeah, but the film would release like 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours 20 minutes, and I don't think it needs it. I think
No.
it's great just to jump in with a hey.
Yeah.
We don't need to be. We're not setting up a world.
We know exactly what
A
film
lot
it
of
is.
films, I don't know. It's interesting, like in how blockbusters then or action films then and now compare. Like they just get into it a lot more back then, whereas now it almost seems like we're trying to set up the first in a franchise. A lot
Yeah,
of the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's
Well-
like fucking stop, just
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
film, and then if you get a franchise, that'd be
great.
So within the first like 3 minutes, Dr. Cox has accused him of thinking that he's young, dumb, and full of cum. And I'm like, well, this is this film.
This is the
This
tone.
is,
This is the
where we
tone.
are. This is where we're at. Like, okay, cool. And then I think like as soon as you meet Gary Busey, you're just like, okay, this is such an interesting dynamic for them to have.
Definitely
Also,
not
Gary
casting.
Busey's character starts off by just ripping into him. It's like, who's
Yeah.
this like quarterback punk partner of mine? And then, but he's got a blindfold on at this point, so he doesn't realize that he's actually saying that to Keanu Reeves himself. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
he's like, oh, Papas, Angelo Papas, and he's like, punk, quarterback pump.
Yeah, a classic mistaken identity, accidentally misspoke while
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
blindfolded for a swimming challenge.
Yes.
We've all been there.
Yeah, all been there. The
Met my
classic.
new partner for the first time, just randomly started speaking to a stranger I didn't know about.
How much I hate noobs.
Cookie, crazy.
It's just, it's just ridiculous. And I'm there for it. I don't want to watch a film that feels real.
No.
Like, I just want to watch this silly film about
mean,
surfing
sometimes
that
I
has
do.
something at the heart of it that is quite.
I don't want
accessible, I
Keanu
guess.
Reeves to have clinical depression over his broken knee, you know? Like, I don't.
I
That
don't
would be
really
sad.
either.
It would be
Yeah, it
upsetting.
sad.
I want him to be happy.
I think the point I was going to make was there's a time and place for things to feel real, and I don't think
yeah.
this
This
kind of film
film.
is.
No.
My issue with it in the first half was more.
The surfing.
It was the surfing, but also
And
it
your
felt
stinking mood.
and my stinking mood. But it felt like it was holding back a little bit, and I was just like, "Wait a minute, no, let me." You just spit coffee everywhere.
She just spat coffee on me in my dress.
You're
You're disgusting.
manky.
That is so manky.
Right, let me clarify that.
Jesus Christ.
Swallow that before you say anything else. Oh my god.
Right.
Literally spent 10 minutes saying how the film is so ridiculous.
No,
And, like-
let me. I realised that was a stupid out of context. That sounds very
What is
stupid.
it you said? What were the
I
exact
said
words?
it was holding back.
Point Break.
What I mean is,
It does a lot. It doesn't hold back.
right. Let me reframe that.
It's just such a ridiculous. Thank you.
Right. Let me dial that back a little bit.
Oh my god.
Right. I'll let you
And clean myself.
clean yourself first, and then
Jesus
we'll
Christ.
deal with my pish.
Oh my god. I want to die.
Right. No.
I'm disgusting. Okay, right.
Right.
That's
To clarify, I mean, I couldn't tell which way it was going. It was ridiculous dialogue-wise, right?
Right, okay.
But it seemed to be trying to be quite serious with some of its points, like especially with Patrick Swayze, but we'll get into later. And I was just a bit like, wait a minute, are we doing a silly action romp, which the dialogue and everything seems to go for, or are we doing some sort of interesting character study?
What a part of the dialogue, though, did you think made it sound serious?
No, I mean specifically later on when Patrick Swayze and the philosophy of letting go, man, and how kind of serious the movie was getting there. I was like, wait a minute, why we? I thought we were doing ridiculous, punchy, wah wah wah, and
I
then
mean,
we're
it's
doing
about
this.
both.
Well, ultimately, I saw how it melded,
Yes.
and I was quite happy with how it went. But I was just,
You just have a really strange reaction to the fact that you don't enjoy like the first half of something. And it's not even you don't enjoy the first half of it. You're so
You were just concerned about how it was going to end. That you couldn't
like,
even
what it
enjoy
was
it
gonna
as you were
be.
watching it.
well, yeah, I was because I was getting.
You don't need to know what's going to
No,
happen
of
in a
course.
film next.
No.
That's kind of the point.
No, right. It wasn't so much. It was worrying about where it was going to go because I was like, wait now, this is a surfing movie.
But you didn't let it happen.
Not, no, I know, but then I was like, it's not getting. I just felt his tone was all over the place. And then I realised later that's kind of the point. But when at first I was like, where are we going? Are we settling? Is this silly action romp fun, or is this something a bit more tangible and serious? And what's happening? And I get it. It can simultaneously kind of be both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it wasn't all surfing and dudes talking about the philosophy of surfing, which I really thought it was going to be, which is great for one or two scenes. Don't get me wrong, but I thought the whole movie was going to be that, and I was like, fuck me.
I mean, we'll obviously get into more of the kind of philosophy of the whole film, but it's not about like surfing,
No, it's
really.
not. It's not.
It's not. It's about
But I thought it was about to be.
It's about risk.
I was already in a shite mood,
And
and
the
I was
ultimate
like,
ride.
oh my god, I've totally walked into this one with completely unprepared. Fuck. But it's
so.
fine.
Then we move on to what the kind of the other guys in the precinct are all kind of taking the piss at Guy Busey. That's like the next scene, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so we have a sort of he describes, this is where we're first introduced to the ex-presidents. We see a sort of interstitial type scene where we see them robbing a bank as he explains kind of what their deal is. So the ex-presidents are 4 bank robbers. They always wear these big rubber masks of, I think I actually wrote down which presidents it was, but
Can I guess?
yes, go on, I found it.
Nixon,
Yep.
Reagan,
Mm-hmm.
Lyndon B. Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and who's the last one? Is it Kennedy?
No.
No? Fuck.
Not good.
Lincoln? No, of course not Lincoln. That'd be fucking, fucking top hat.
Rubber top hat.
like, yeah, dressed like a dead president, and this guy
Imagine,
literally
like-
dresses up as Lincoln, fake beard, hat on. They're like, you fucked it, man.
I know I'm like I'm moving forward a little bit, but you know, like the point where obviously Kiana goes on in one of their heists. Imagine they were like wearing all the cool masks, and they were like, "You get Lincoln."
You get a top hat.
No, who's the last one then?
Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Yeah.
But yeah, so they always have these these rubber masks on. And their kind of MO is that they're always in and out in 90 seconds. They never go for the vault, they're never greedy, they just go for the cash and the tills, and they're pretty much non-violent. So they do take guns and they threaten to shoot, but they've never shot anyone to date, they've never killed anyone.
Non-violent, I wouldn't hold up in court, as taught by Prison Break. If you discharge a gun in a place, that's an extra 10 years on top. Don't know why I think Prison Break's correct on that when Point Break isn't, but anyway,
That's great, man.
yeah, they're violent.
Also,
would
they
be-
don't discharge the
I-
gun;
I-
they just
I-
threaten to.
Non-violent is my word. I think they shoot it. I think they shoot
They
it
do
in the
shoot
air a
in
couple
there,
of
they do
times.
shoot in there, 'cause that's-
Non-violent is my word. That's not
No.
the word from the film. But yeah, so they generally are when they go in, they're kind of talking about the fact that your money's all insured. Don't be stupid. Don't do anything you're going to regret here. So they seem to be fairly. I'm not benevolent, but what's the word I'm going to use? Fairly moral for bank robbers
Yeah.
as far as bank robbers go. But yeah, poor Pappas has been trying to chase these guys, get them done for ages. Nothing's happening.
Which is so funny to think about. Like there's a like talking about implied narratives. The implied narrative of Gary Busey losing his mind
for years.
for years hunting these guys. Like, I like to think he was normal. I like to think he was like very short hair, up the side, very broken. Like, hey guys, good morning, great day to be on the force. I gotta fucking catch these guys. Like,
He closes his eyes at night and he just sees like rubber faces.
God, yeah.
Yeah, so the other sort of thing that complicates Big Papa's life is the fact that they only robbed you at banks during the summer.
Yes.
So then we have a
So he's
scene.
got nothing to do the rest of the year.
Oh, literally, he's just scratching his head for the rest of the year. He scratched a hole into his
He's
skull.
detoxing. He's detoxing for the amount of fucking coke he must be on, because he's absolutely unhinged in this movie. And it's great. It's
amazing.
beautiful.
Which leads me perfectly to our next scene. So they go to investigate. I don't know, it's like an abandoned car, it's like an abandoned getaway vehicle, or there's something like that.
Yeah,
And we just have the most like.
and it's Keanu Reeves' idea, because he's just like kind of Guy Busey, ripping the piss out of him for, trying, basically, because he's
Yeah.
just given up at this point.
Yeah.
And then it just leaves it into what the most unhinged scene between them, I think.
Because the thing is, we haven't heard Pappas's theory yet about who the robbers might be, but there's kind of constant allusions to the fact that, like, the guys are like, oh, he's got some kind of mad theory, and Keanu Reeves is like, well, tell me what it is, and then he just goes mental. Like, they are screaming at each other, and they've known each other for like a day.
We've known them for like 5 minutes. We've known them for like 5 minutes. There's been no exposition as to what their relationship is like. And Keanu Reeves is like, why don't you just tell me what your theory is so we can catch these guys? And he's like shaking them around and fucking going mental.
But it's not like a professional dispute. It's like a lover's quarrel.
Yeah.
If they were like standing like, like clothes, half ripped off on the street, crying their eyes out, one of them dropped to their knees in the dirt, like begging him not to leave, I would have, like, that
Yeah, you can
energy
believe
is
it.
what that
Yeah,
scene has.
it
It's
is.
like, why have you given up? Why won't you just try for
It
us?
feels like we're
Okay.
halfway through the film when it comes to their performance in that scene.
Yeah,
It feels like a lot has
it's
happened
insane.
and
Yeah.
nothing has happened.
Yeah.
I think that's also why I was getting whiplash. I was like, that's really funny, but what?
Because also, it's not like a crisis point or anything like that. Like, he's just like has a theory that he's not told him yet.
Keanu's just started. He's
Maybe
just,
that's it.
it's like his first fucking day. And he's like, I want in on it, man. Tell me what's going on.
That's how I feel when
Don't
I'm
leave me out of the
missing
patter.
Yeah, if I'm not hearing the office gossip, I'm like, I need to know what it is. Tell me right now. But then maybe he's just like, oh, I wrote in my CV that I'd really like to show initiative. I'm a self-starter. Like, I will be the best cop ever. I will always track down the information. He's just like really trying to show off on his
He's
first
using
day.
terms like loose cannon, on the edge. Really looking forward to being on the edge. Really looking forward to being a loose cannon. Team me up with that guy. All this
just,
kind
like,
of shit.
Watched far too many cop films, and he just like thinks that's where he's gonna go. First day, he's like, right, this is how I'm meant to act. I'm meant to act like I'm a nutcase. I'm meant to act like I've had a prescription pill addiction for the last 7 years. I'm being haunted by this like bank robber. I'm just gonna go straight in. I'm gonna go in at a 10,
Yeah.
and he just does. Like,
Just tracks down the one nutcase that's sure to get him into some mental situation. Hey, you're my best pal, and I'm going to scream at you because that's your language. So we'll scream at each other. Now I know that. Now I know the info. Let's go. Let's do it.
so after this,
So what's it? What is? How does he phrase it, Gary Busey? What does he say exactly? Does he just like reveal to him?
So he doesn't, what, like in that moment?
Yeah, in that moment.
no, they go back.
They
to
go
the-
back
Of
to
course,
the
it's
they go
cla-
back to the kind of office, and he's like, here's my theory, like we've tested all these samples, and there's like sand and like different chemicals that are in the sea, I guess. I'm not gonna
He's trying to track it down
Surfboard
to.
wax.
But yeah, basically he sees it in a
Surfboard
surf
wax,
community.
yeah.
He reckons that they're part of a surf
one would be
community.
Yeah, so what?
I was like, no one made me laugh. I'm gonna try and finish this coffee. Dress okay, by the way.
Yes, it is. Thank you for spitting milk all over it, though. That'll be
I feel like
good for later.
spat on myself in every single episode of this podcast so far.
So, he's like, yeah, there's surfboard wax, there's sand, there's these chemicals that are in the sea. It's like, I think it's surfers. And also,
That's evidence
In-
from the crime scene that he's picked.
yeah, in the video, which everyone else thinks is just like inconsequential, like, oh, it could have been like, wax for your hair. The guy could have been at the beach like another day and just, they're always like, no, it's definitely not surfers. Like, that's absolutely ludicrous that there would be surfboarding bank robbers. That's absolutely crazy. But also, they watched the video of the ex-presidents doing a bank robbery, and one of them moons the camera. So they're like, they've also got tan lines, which would be the same as what a surfer would have. So that's another kind of piece of evidence that Gary Busey's going on. A picture of some guy's
anyone
arse.
that lives in the state with you who isn't
Where
a
it's
nudist.
sunny.
Yeah, God.
No, I mean, you would have specific tan lines if you were a surfer because you'd be wearing a wetsuit.
But why would you have tan lines on your arse then?
I was thinking about that.
Also,
We're
Gary-
trying to apply logic to a film that clearly doesn't need it.
It doesn't want our logic. It doesn't need it. Like, and the best thing is as well, I'm now
But
just
Gary Busey
picturing
believes it.
a big papas just for those other.
I love
eight-
that you've dubbed them Big Papas.
I keep wanting to call them the mamas and the papas, but who would the mamas be?
Keanu Reeves.
I guess.
Yeah, it
But,
doesn't work as well.
Also, yeah, that's a total side note. But no, I'm just now picturing him for like the other 8 months of the year that they're not in town robbing banks. He's just like staring at a picture of this guy's arse, being like, there is something here. I was gonna make him about to crack the case joke, but I just actually think I'm maybe better than that.
Well, do you want to crack on with the case?
Shut up.
So,
Shut up! I've never heard that.
part of his theory as well about them being surfers is the fact that he thinks that they are robbing all these banks in the summer to get up enough money to go travelling for the rest of the year.
Which, you know what? Sounds class.
I honestly started to worry about you a wee bit when we were watching this because I can feel you getting ideas.
Not only was I in a bad mood, and I was confused at what I was watching at first and apprehensive of what was to come, but I was also very much going, aye, Patrick Swayze's so in the right though. Aye, who wouldn't?
Just we don't have to worry about it though because we can't have Swanee surfing. Just wouldn't happen.
Oh no, I wouldn't be surfing.
It's just
I'd be the guy.
you'd be
that's
the
drunk
guy.
on
You'd be the
beach.
guy. There's a guy later on for reasons of people who've not watched this who's just like the rest of them are like surfing. This is a wee bit later on. They're surfing during the night, and this guy is just sitting next to the fire and just like taking slugs of beer and then spitting it in the fire and then giggling to himself like. He does it like more than once.
Surfing, and he's just swaying about, just like I don't want anything to do with that, which is exactly where you would be.
I'm here for the party. You guys go get wet. Fucking go for it. Have fun.
Go get soaking.
No.
And now we're soaking.
And now we're soaking. But no, right, so yeah, and then we get a brilliant line from Big Pappas where he describes the fact that they are just gone after the summer. They vanish like a virgin on prom night because he just has, I honestly, again, he's one of those characters, I'm like, you have been thinking about that one all day. You got a wee notebook stashed somewhere with all your wee jokes and your wee phrases. Pappas Patters. Another big Pappas Patter.
Everyone knows he's got this book, but he pretends he doesn't. He's like, I just need to go to the bathroom again. It's like, oh my god, here he goes. And you can hear him in the stalls. He's the kind of person that reads out loud when they read.
Also, I'd like to note that I didn't get that joke, so I, queried it to the room, and I was like, "Is he trying to say that like virgins don't like fun, so they don't go to prom?" And you just were like, "No,
Nah, man.
know what I meant."
Yeah, that was funny. There was a couple points we had to pause and explain things to one another. Mostly me.
Mostly we had to talk you down. You were just like so angry. Anytime
You were at Point Break, man.
Hi.
Like we would go to like a scene where we were on the beach and there was an establishing shot, a couple of seconds of a guy surfing. It's all this film's gonna be. And film's gonna be. I hate surfing. I'm sorry.
Really?
I have this thing where I find surfing really, really boring. And then, as Claude rightfully pointed out, she was like,
When have you established this opinion? What have you watched in the past that's brought you to this conclusion?
I don't know. It's just no very
Surf's
interesting.
Up, the Penguin movie,
Oh, didn't like that one.
the patter or the film.
Both. But no, it was just. It's just kind of boring to watch, to be honest. There's sometimes it's really cool. Like at the end of the film, it was really cool to watch. But see, like, just seeing people going on waves, I'm like, yep.
there wasn't like a gratuitous amount of it though. And I would say
No,
that
there
apart
wasn't,
from
but I thought there was going to be, is what I'm saying.
I would say apart from the establishing shots and things were obviously just to set the scene, each scene that we saw surfing felt justified because it was to explore a particular emotion or the development of a relationship.
Yeah,
That's possibly true. I've only seen it once,
it's
so
definitely true.
fair enough. Definitely true.
Yeah.
No, I would just
We'll get into it.
get into what?
The surfing.
No. Can we just get out of the way?
Don't want to go back there, man.
Can we hurt
Don't
that?
hurt that.
So-
yeah, apart from the actual like ridiculous lines that Pappas comes out with, there's just brilliant vocabulary all the way throughout this film. Like Utah just looks at him and goes, "We're styling." On the way out, as in like, "Yep, I'm coming with you," and it's like there's not a hint at irony. He's not taking the piss when he says that. And the whole way through, like I saw a kind of film review. I just scrolled past it when I was actually looking for the screenplay for this so I could get some quotes exact. And I went past it and somebody was just like, Point Break is a film where men use the word bra unironically. And I was like,
They say it a lot.
that is it. And I'm here for it. I don't watch a lot of films where the word bra gets battered about unironically, and I want probably more films like that if I could have my way.
Totally.
But yeah, so the surfer theory is obviously introduced, and we finish that scene out by they both jump on the table and pretend to surf, which is beautiful and insane.
Yeah, it's quite a cute wee moment.
It is actually quite a cute wee moment. I mean,
They're pals. They're friends.
they
Yeah,
are
they're
friends.
pals.
You know, they've got a weird.
They got
sort
there
of-
really quickly, but they're friends.
Yeah.
They went from 0 to 100 to
That's
70.
a million. Is that the scene where they go, wow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. But at the time, I was like,
Also, by the
What's
way,
happening?
upon a second viewing, we see when they're like looking through all this information and stuff like that, and they're like sitting with their booze and they're like Chinese and stuff like that. Like Guy Busey's just like drinking out a bottle of Jack Daniels,
Oh yeah. Like it's
but
like
he's
me
never
and Swanee.
like yeah.
Like he's sitting there with a beer and then like 6 discarded beers behind him, and Kenny Busey's just swinging out a bottle of whiskey. And it's literally me and Swanee on any given night in our flat.
right, any given night,
Not so much anymore.
we got better. We did good
But last summer,
last summer.
endless summer, man.
Those summers never end. Anyway.
But yeah, so we basically, and he's just like, wait, so I'm going to go undercover. Why can't you go undercover?
It was so bad. Anyway,
What did I miss?
no, it was just me doing
He's just going out with some shite patterns.
Oh,
summer
well.
never ends.
I'm sure we'll get more later on.
Cut that.
But yeah, so he's like, oh, why can't you go undercover? And he's like, because I look like this and you look like that. He's like, so what, the FBI is going to pay me to learn how to surf? And effectively, yes.
Yeah, that's
So he's-
exactly what they're
he's
gonna
been a
do.
cop for like one day, and then they're like, right, enough of that.
Time to go
I think
surfing.
I think this is actually, you know, I don't even think I have to suspend disbelief here, because they probably never get anyone who looks like Keanu Reeves coming through their door, and they're like, right, okay. I know that they don't believe in Papa's theory, but they were like, look, if we're gonna give Papa's theory that he's been, you know, mulling over for the last 10 years any credence, this guy looks like he could be a surfer.
surfer.
He's the only guy who has ever come through these doors who looks like he could possibly be a surfer. This like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work with this
Do we
guy.
think this was all like a Shutter Island type conspiracy, just so Pappas would calm the fuck down and get over it? They were
Like,
oh my
look,
God.
man,
Play
look,
his
man,
delusions.
Kiana's proved it's not surfers. Like, go
And they're
chill
just like,
out.
"Papas,
Let's
see?
move on.
See, can we go back to you being a traffic cop, please?
Oh man,
Go back to you being a lollipop man.
I was gonna say the last scene of this film should have been Pappas just lying on like a pelican crossing, being like, I should have known as soon as they said Johnny Utah that was a fake name. What was I thinking?
Well, basically, that's what happens, isn't it?
A little bit. So yeah, so obviously we now have a lot of montages of him trying to learn how to surf, and not very successfully to begin with. And then he goes to buy a surfboard, and the guy is like, yeah man, you're never too old to start. And he's like, I'm 25. And he's like, yeah, you're never too old, that's what I mean. This is the first time I've ever watched this film and I'm nearly 25, and I was like, oh, that's considered old to anyone? What? That's so upsetting.
I can't believe you've circled in red I'm 25 on your book as
It's
well.
the only thing in all my notes that's circled in red. I honestly was just like, I kind of had to like make it more real to myself.
I'm
It's so
25.
upsetting that that's going to be happening soon. But yeah, it's this kind of like, you know, it's seen as a sort of, not even a young man's thing, but you know, he's a cop, he's quite uptight. It's shown that this is maybe not a natural position for him to sort of take up. So he's got this big sort of clunky surfboard that he constantly gets told is not
big
very cool.
pink
Big pink
highlighter pink
appendage.
surfboard that he brings everywhere with him for some reason.
Is albatross, the cross the bear that he just
His
carries
fucking
around with him
anchor.
everywhere.
This man has had no training in how to go undercover, and he's like, I have to bring my props everywhere I go. I can't be seen without a surfboard or else my cover's blown. But I will tell people that my name is Johnny Utah without them even asking sometimes.
Yeah, all he did for this was buy a surfboard or buy the props and watch Bond films. That was his only training for going undercover.
And then the best thing is as well is it's just like he just carries a surfboard with him everywhere. It's like the LA version of a guy taking a guitar to like every party that he goes to, just in case anyone ever asks him to play guitar, just in case anyone ever asks him to, you know, go surfing.
Just in case.
But yeah, so he sucks at it, and then he's like, right. He's surfing one day, he's giving it his best shot, and then he starts to get completely overwhelmed by the waves. People are just like, he's going to drown, basically. His life is in peril, and as you pointed out.
I just thought this was so funny, this bit, because like they have set him out on his first undercover mission on his second day of work or something like that. Like he's met Guy Busey, he's went absolutely feral at him. Second day they're like, right, you're out on the field. We're sending you out undercover. He's like, cool. To be a convincing surfer, I'm just going to go out and surf until some surf guy comes up to me, I suppose, and tells me information about bank robbers. That's his theory so far, right? And then he almost fucking drowns. So they're like, right, this guy's been in the force for 2 fucking days and all he's done is go out and drown. There you go. There's another reason why. Maybe that was another ploy to get Guy Busey to calm the fuck down. They're like, look, you're killing boys here. You're killing boys with your mad theories.
Oh man,
You're killing the rookie.
But I was gonna say, alas, he does not die. Thank God he does not die. We get wee Spikey, whose real name I think is Tyler.
Tyler.
So
Yeah.
all the surfing crew.
No, this is his the wee kiddo who looks like what's the wee kiddo? His wee kiddo friend.
You've been so condescending towards her.
Aye, the wee
Pure
girl. The
jealousy. Aye,
wee
she's a wee lassie.
Tiny.
Aye, it's a wee lassie.
Well, you thought it was a wee
She's
boy.
tiny.
I thought it was the wee boy from the shop.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
It was because when her hair's wet, and it was very like because actually on the screenplay for this it just says washing machine effect. So you're just kind of getting this blur of like waves crashing over him, and he's struggling for air, and then there is like a head bobbing out of the water with wet black very short hair, and it could easily be the wee boy
Yeah.
that serves him in the shop,
Which would be very
which
funny.
would be a very different film.
Yeah.
I kind of love it actually
Yeah,
if
yeah.
Keanu just like had a brotherly relationship. That actually would maybe work really well, even
Yeah.
with the like spoiler alert. But later on, Tyler, his girlfriend gets kidnapped. That would actually really work with like a sort of like
Like a wee
brotherly-
boy.
a wee-
Yeah.
yeah, and a wee
Would
boy
not
teach him
work-
how to,
Would have made the what age is the wee boy?
like 15.
Well,
His name's
Would
15.
not have worked well with the sex scene on the
No,
beach.
absolutely not. Obviously not. But there would have been an equivalent.
Would there?
Some other like nice
Aye, they would
bonding
have had-
moment that's
yeah, they would-
wholesome and not weird.
Yeah.
But no, it's not a wee boy. It's wee Spikey, whose name is Tyler. She is like some kind of surf goddess. Interestingly, when I was looking at the screenplay, she was meant to have really, really long, flowing blonde hair that moved like fabric in the wind, and green eyes, and like basically just looked like
Fabric
an
in the
angel.
wind.
I think that might have actually been the
James Cameron
description.
wrote that line.
100%.
So why did they change it up? Did they just
I have
make
no idea, but I kind of like the direction they went in with it. I
With
preferred
Laurie
her.
Petty.
Yeah,
It was just
really
the
Laurie
casting,
Petty.
they've just been, you know what? Aye, that works better with her doing that.
Yeah.
You find that loads of stuff.
She's very much like women written by a man. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That is the vibe of her character.
Yeah.
But you know, I like her, and I think she gives a good performance for the role that she's meant to play. And I kind of like the idea that she's got a kind of androgynous, like she's got a more of an androgynous look. She's got a kind of androgynous energy and vibe.
Yeah.
They feel kind of well matched. The fact that she rescues him at the beginning, I think their relationship works. She is kind of like a bit of a MacGuffin by the end in terms of she
I think that was my
becomes a
issue.
plot
It's
device.
kind of where it went with her.
Yeah, and I agree. There's issues with that.
Although apparently a lot of it was rewritten by Catherine Bigelow, talking with the actress to try and make her and Johnny Utah at least on a level playing field when they were talking. Didn't really obviously give her too much depth of character out of it, but it did. You know, she's not just ineffectual or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, they're equals. They're
Yeah,
equals.
she doesn't feel just like a complete pawn to me.
Yeah.
And it very much kind of easily could be that without a
And I
bit of
think-
extra characterization. And it does become that. But what I mean is it could have been
Worse.
so obviously just
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no.
But no, so we meet her. She's kind of abrasive.
Yeah.
She's pretty, like, she saves his life and then she's just like, what the fuck are you doing?
What you doing in my sea? You're gonna get yourself
my
killed.
sea.
Get out my sea.
This is messy. Get out. You got no business being a messy. Get out.
And then she's like, oh fuck that, I'm away. She goes to go back surfing, so she's in the water again at this point, and he's like, hey, I'm Johnny Utah. Just like first fucking surfer he's met, and he blows his fucking cover to her.
Honestly.
He's shocking.
And
So bad. And then she just goes, I don't care. And surfs away.
Perfect line.
He just leaves him there. There's a line in New Girl that really made me think of this scene where one of the characters, Nick, a woman walks away from him. He's like, stop being so mean to me, or I swear to God I'm gonna fall in love with you. Like that is basically the thesis of their relationship.
Totally.
That's the sort of jumping off point. But yeah, I think he seems to be very bowled over with her from the sort of initial meeting. And yeah, so he realizes that this might be his. Oh, so actually, no, I'm jumping ahead. So he realizes that this might be his in to the sort of world of surfing, and everyone's kind of making fun of him. Like the only power you could make was a wee woman.
Yeah.
Really, that's your big surfing contact.
But
And yeah,
I just said this bit. The lassie that's working with them, she's hilarious as well. What's her deal? She's like, so they're going through all the kind of misdemeanors that Tyler has on her record, and she's like, one of them is like, oh, an indecent exposure in a moving vehicle, and she's like, oh, hot, good one, and you're like, what? What was that?
You take it down 5 notches, please.
Another woman written by a man. She's just
Literally.
like, she's just been super pervy for like no reason.
she's like, nice one, get in there,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Good find, Utah.
Sexy woman. It's like, right. Okay. This feels ridiculous. But yeah, so obviously he's like, right, I need to find something, some bit of information that's going to like let me endear myself to her.
Yeah.
And I saw the look in your face watching this, and I was suddenly like, oh, I remember where this is going. Because he's like, yeah, public exposure, blah, blah, nah, that's not going to do it. Parents both died in a plane crash. And then what is the exact line? I want to make sure I get this.
Definitely.
Both parents deceased. Yeah, definitely. Definitely what? Like,
Oh yeah, definitely. That's emotional trauma I can exploit.
right?
Fucking perfect.
So
Christ, Johnny.
he then goes to her place of work. And
Straight to it.
I mean, it's like nice segue, man. Like he's just like, oh yeah,
Dead parents, I'm away.
dead parents. I've got those. I have
Got
those.
it. I can riff. That's
I
enough.
can riff.
He's
Dead
already
parents,
got his
dead
keys
parents,
and he's
dead
grabbing
parents,
the
dead
keys.
parents.
Put the jacket on. He's on Gary Busey. And he's like eating a hot dog, and he's like, dead parents, great. And then they're just fucking going for
He
it.
just goes into it and he gives this big speech about how, you know, both parents died and you know, he always wanted to live up to their expectations, and now that they're gone he realises he just wants to surf, not be a lawyer. And you can just see Laurie Petty, wee Spikey, just melting as he's saying this. Like, she is absolutely losing her mind, and she's like, right, fine, I'll teach you how to surf, but basically I don't want anyone to know that I know you.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. As
Yeah,
well.
they actually get bits of her in the next montage where she does actually teach him how to surf, just like being like, I'm not with him, which
Yeah.
I think is hilarious.
Just helping them out.
This is another one of Swanee's hilarious criticisms of this surfing film comes in.
Oh no.
So,
What did they say?
you've got Keanu Reeves learn how to surf, and the way that this happens is that wee Spikey is getting him to go like on a surfboard, which is just sitting on the beach, not on any water, and jump up onto it, not like rise from it, but jump up onto it like you would with a surfboard. And as he's doing this, there's a couple of folk that walk past who are clearly surfers, and they're like taking the piss out of him because he's not properly surfing, and she's having to teach him how, and she's getting him to jump on the beach. It looks a bit silly, and Swanee's pure like, this is just like an unrealistic showcase of what surfers would actually be like. They're a really welcoming community, actually, and they would never be that nasty to people. So I don't really, not really kind of buying into this whole aspect of the film, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
what are you talking about?
Why?
They're bank robbing surfers, man.
What I think
There's
I meant.
evil meth selling surfers. Spoilers for the rest of the podcast.
What I thought. What I meant.
What did you mean?
I've forgotten.
You were just like, well, this is frankly
No,
ridiculous.
right. Yes.
I'm
right.
appalled
No.
because
It
this is
was-
the most unrealistic part of Point Break.
No, I thought it was like I've seen people do that on the side of the beach practicing surfing like that. So I was just like, what is this guy's fucking elitism? What is this? I just didn't. It was jarring, and then it came out in the surfing community is very welcoming.
I thought you weren't interested in surfing. Why do you know what the surfing community is
I've
like?
hung out with people who are into
How
surfing.
many?
A fair few.
Okay, fair enough. I'm like, no follow-up questions, that checks out.
Like as much as you can do surfing in this country.
Yeah, fair. But it was just, honestly, it was so funny because I
They're
thought you just
sound.
didn't get
Love
the joke. I
surfers.
was like, well, I think they're just making fun of him because he's not actually surfing in the water, he's surfing on land. And you're like, there is no gatekeeping in the surfing community. They're very welcoming to newcomers. It was just so funny, man. You're so, and then it just
So
kept
adamant.
going.
It was
You're
as
like another surfer who's not being nice. And you use the word nasty.
Why is he
nasty
being so
stuff.
nasty to
Why is
him?
he being so nasty?
I think it
This
was
is just
me.
ridiculous.
I think it was me in a bad mood trying to have silly patter, and it would just come across as really like.
It was like Abby was making fun of you surfing. That was the kind of vibe. Like you were so offended and hurt on Keanu Reeves' behalf.
I think
He's
things,
just trying.
things were just coming
Listen, man,
out.
he's just doing a new thing. You have to encourage people to do new things that they're not comfortable with. Like this is shocking. They're so mean.
I will.
Right, so obviously we've got our training montage, and he's just repeatedly buoyed by all these passers-by, whether or not that is historically accurate to 1991 California or not. That's what happens. And then we see Bodhi for the first time, not in, spoilers, he's obviously one of the bank robbers.
So Bodhi, Patrick Swayze.
Bodhi is Patrick Swayze.
Yes.
We see him surfing. And we get some brilliant dialogue from wee Spikey. She sees him and she goes, "That's Bodhi. He's a modern savage. He's a real searcher." And she just, again, says
So, you
it
know,
with a
again,
high self-awareness.
man,
It's like-
I just know for a fact, I don't know about you, but I have definitely got chat like that off of boys that I've been going out with.
Oh.
Do you know what I
Bodhi
mean?
is the guy that you would like fall in love with and then spend about maybe 2 days in the actual company of, like, you know, for quite a lot of time consecutively, and be like, I think I'd rather die than spend another 5 minutes with you. Like,
Listen.
you be phoning someone or texting someone, be like, please phone me and say there's an emergency. Like, I need to get out of here. This guy is nuts. Because he is so intense. Like, from
Listen,
the jump.
man, as someone who went out with a free-spirited surfer, I can't say that. Know me.
Know me. But no, I love that, as you say, the modern savage line, he's a searcher, searching for what? The ultimate ride.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But Cammy made a really good point about this. At this point, the exposition ends. This is probably, I think, I looked at it and it was about 20 minutes in, and that's where the exposition ends. Now it's plot for the rest of the film from 20 minutes in. As soon as she says the ride, he's looking for the ride, the ultimate ride, that's it. Then you know, okay, we know who Bodhi is. You get a good, you know, idea, even if you're seeing it for the first time, that he's going to be our antagonist. And he's looking for the ultimate ride. And it's all about risk, and it's all about pushing it, and rebellion and stuff like that. And even though it's a wee bit cringe, I think it's a really good line. And it kind of leads off into the rest of the film quite well.
It's just ridiculous because
It's
you
quite
kinda
atmospheric.
Yeah. You're kind of like, these guys are ridiculous. But sure, I'm up for it. Like, this is the film we're doing. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so he kind of comes over and he introduces himself to Johnny Utah and then just immediately winches wee Spikey, which is very funny because I think in the rest of the film it seems as if they're exes. And like Johnny Utah has clearly got a wee thing going for wee Spikey at this point, and he just kind of looks at him like,
Boyd
"Oh."
again.
All right then.
With him?
He kind of just turns away
With
from
you?
it. Like, I'm not going to look at this. It's so awkward. Like, straight away, their dynamic as a three is really funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
throughout this.
Like, and it's like Keanu Reeves. Is that also when he gets like thrown the ball and then tries to spin it and like immediately drops it and the camera
Yeah,
cuts
it
away?
is.
Yeah, he's fucking it in all capacities.
He should have gone to the Zac Efron school to learn how to spin balls.
Oh yeah. As we established, that was not CGI.
To establish
No,
dominance
I
over
can't. I
another
can't talk
male.
about 17 again. I felt it. No, we're not talking about that film again,
But yeah, so
ever.
straight away we go back to the precinct, and this is one of the best examples of Johnny carrying his surfboard to ridiculous places because he's standing getting an absolute bollocking from Dr. Cox, who is just going mental at them for, as you pointed out, not having solved the case in the 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, aye.
Now, he had to learn how to surf before he could actually fully go undercover. So if
Really
he's done-
harsh.
he's done actually remarkably
He's done
well
all right.
in terms
He's
of
been
learning how to
dedicated,
surf.
disciplined. You know, he's been
As
out
an
there.
undercover cop, maybe not so much, but right now the remit is learn how to
I
surf.
think, like, to be fair to Dr.
that's what I mean,
Cox,
surfing.
to be fair to Dr. Cox, I think that he's just like, Dr. Cox is going to have someone that he's got to, you know,
answer to.
And this guy's like, so you've got what, a 24-year-old guy that you're paying to go and hang out with a wee lassie on the beach to surf. Is this what's happening? Right, 2 weeks, what's happening? What kind of information he's got? Oh, he's, you know, like, got
The exact information is I rolled my,
My
first
first
tube
tubes.
this morning.
sir.
Sorry. But that's it. Like, he's standing there with this big, like, poultice of a pink surfboard. It's obscene looking.
Yeah.
And he's just standing
brought
there,
it into the
like,
office to
looking
get
at the
bought.
ground,
Brought
like
it with him.
absolutely buoyed.
And
It's the most buoyant. And then the thing
upon
is,
second viewing as well, it's so funny how mental Dr. Cox is going, because he's like, actually, we noticed that he is screaming so loud in this scene that it peaks the mic. My TV was going mental.
But yeah, and then to even like just for anyone that was paying attention and seeing that big surfboard was clearly in the room with them when it probably shouldn't be. They then have it like smack into Gary Busey as they squeeze out the door together as they leave, which was very funny.
yeah. And they do even address, he's like, did you have to bring that with you? And he's like, I couldn't leave it in the car. My boot wouldn't shut with it in it, which is again is hilarious to imagine him driving about with this like taped, like roped into the back
Not
of his
even
car.
he's just holding it.
Just, like, holding it
Scraping
on
the
his
top
roof
of his
like
car
this.
to fuck.
So yeah, he couldn't lock it in his car, but it's like, man, there's a hallway. There's a stairwell. You could have left it downstairs in the fucking
Mate,
reception.
Could have left it at your
I'm-
fucking desk.
I'm pretty sure
man.
if you just left it beside your car, no one's going to fucking steal it, man. We're in a precinct.
I wanted to. I this is where I would have added to the runtime of this film. If I had gotten like a 40-second of just trying to get on the entrance in with Dr. Cox's face just getting redder and redder and redder, watching
Just watching like
just
incredulously. That'd be
Johnny
very funny.
Utah trying to like
Maneuver.
maneuver his surfboard in as Angelo Pappas is just espousing
knocking
random
over all of his shit.
stock phrases, canned bits that he's written up that day. Like,
Yeah.
no wonder this guy
Smashes his family portraits.
Whilst 3 bottles deep.
I do love that line he says though, where he, like I caught my first tube this morning. So just that it's just like Keanu Reeves' delivery throughout this film is so funny. He's
Yeah.
just so fucking wooden all the time. I caught my first tube this morning, sir.
And the thing is too, like, this is really a film about how weirdly Johnny Utah was a cop for a day, got asked to be an undercover surfer, and immediately went, yeah, I'd rather just do this. Like, that's essentially what the whole film is about. And
Yeah.
it's just so clear already in this scene where he's like, I actually don't care about any of this. I'm not interested. I might just quit and just surf.
Yeah, because you've already had him get the line from Patrick Swayze, life's not over yet, man.
Yeah.
You're surfing. Which is like clearly just sat with him like so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is very funny.
But yeah, so the new sort of theory, they're like, right, get our arses in gear, let's pull a finger out here, we need to come up with something. They get hair samples,
Oh yeah, this is the fucking
From-
grand hair conspiracy.
the grand hair conspiracy.
Fucking going about chopping people's
There's a-
locks off in the most egregious ways possible.
Gary Busey just like runs up to this wee boy on the beach, flashes his badge at him, and is
He's
like,
drinking as well.
he's and it's like psych, and then cuts a bit his hair off and then runs away. It's like, what?
What are you doing?
I have something I want to point out here, which only occurred to me as I was thinking about it today. So they test a hair sample. Basically, the reason they're doing this is because they test a hair sample that they found in the car, I think the car, as evidence, and it's got traces of certain like poisons, arsenic, and whatever, and straight away Johnny Utah's like they constantly close out the beaches because of waste spills and things. We just need to find what specific waste spills match up with the sample of the hair that we've got. So let's take hair from the surfers on the beach to find out what chemicals are in their hair, which I mean I'm very confused as to why they don't just test the water.
It's the water, man.
I don't understand. But my other thing is as well is if they could get a hair sample from a single hair that was left behind at a crime scene, why the fuck are they scalping people? Like, surely one hair would do. Why is this guy just like chopping ponytails off
Also,
hippies?
I'd just like to say, and I don't want to like get into realism and stuff like that, because we obviously it's not relevant in this film. But like a hair sample isn't even any use if it's not got a follicle on it. It's no.
Right?
You
didn't
can't
know- I
test
didn't
it
know
like
that.
that.
Can you not?
No, it's no use.
See, it's just a blanket thing for the rest of any episodes that we do this podcast. I will ask why. I never want an answer.
No, I really. I'm not annoyed that they didn't answer. I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah.
It's just very, but
I'm
it's overly
pondering, I'm questioning
convoluted
it. I
without
don't ever
being
want
right.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, overly convoluted without being correct. Is
They
a very
could have just
interesting
tested the
thing.
water. It's just that they dedicated an entire scene to this wee boy getting his hair cut off, and then Keanu Reeves is like to another guy, he's like, "Oh, you've got a bug here, man," and then tugs his hair off,
Yeah,
and the
no,
guy's
not-
like, "What
not
the
scene,
fuck are you
Really
doing?"
Scenes,
follicles.
plural.
There was a bunch of follicles in
Yeah.
that one.
Scenes. It's a sequence. It's like a montage of hair pulling, and it's like based on this really hokey, weird science that's over-explained but not explained enough. It's like, what the fuck are we
Like, if
doing?
we confuse them, if we just throw enough information in there about different chemicals, they're not actually going to follow what's
Police
happening.
work.
I just don't
DNA.
understand.
I
I'm
why
pretty
they were
sure, what's his name? Gary Buford?
Busey?
Busey, sorry. Like,
Busey. It's not Gary Busey, it's Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
Busey.
I just don't understand why Gary Busey flashes his badge, because like he could just be doing a kind of whole undercover thing as well. Like,
Totally.
what difference would it have made? I think he crawls under a till and is drinking, cuts hair off this wee boy, and he goes, "FBI motherfucker," and then runs away.
Because he's stealing.
He's fucking off his pets, man.
He's lost all sense of reality, man. His wife's left him. His kids have moved across the country. He's another Charlie. The surfers are in front of you.
Oh, God.
The presidents are right in front of
The
you.
presidents are in front of you. Nah, but my favorite thing as well is like I've now got this new theory that like the reason that the sort of meth dealing surfers just hate this guy so much. This is why they're nasty. It's not because surfers are not innately lovely people at heart. It's because they're like, there's that guy that was just cutting about yanking folks' hair out the other day.
This happens too often.
Aye, if he's at the point where he's going about and cutting people's hair off, what the fuck has he been doing for the past 10 years
Like,
investigating
every
this?
summer, man. Every summer, this guy comes out and starts pulling hairs off the beach. Like, can we get
That's why
a
Tone, one of the
impersonate
sort
a
of
police officer?
rogue surfers, has got his hair all braided like that because he's trying to hide a bald spot.
He's been ripped out.
Ripped out. He's like, that's the guy that pulled my hair the other day. I was just surfing and he just came along and yanked my
The
ponytail
Venice
out.
Beach scalper.
Beach scalper. Yeah, it's so unnecessary.
Serial harassment man.
but-
Harassment man? What the fuck's that? Serial harasser. That's what I meant to say.
So
of the
in-
public.
In our next
Fuck's
surfing
sake.
scene,
In our next scene.
Big Papas is watching him from a car. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking going doing the most.
He's having a wee surf on his own without the protection of wee Spiky, and he dings another guy's surfboard because he is still fairly inexperienced, and this guy is just not pleased and absolutely left hooks him, and it's just that's it.
Punches
We've set
the
up
fuck out.
these are the clear villains of the beach, and then he's having a wee shower in the outdoor shower, and his wee new nemesis has brought along pals with him.
Nemesis.
One of whom
One of whom.
One of whom is, I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anthony.
I think Cadeus,
I thought it was Kaidus.
is it?
The lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as he's more popularly known,
Yeah.
the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who, at this point, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are a fairly established band. Like, I feel like
They're peaking at this point, I'm sure.
It's just
Yeah,
such
it's
a
like the early
random, like, it's just like having, I don't know, fucking Noel Gallagher just
Right?
feature as like a cop in
like-
Point Break.
Totally.
Like, you'd be like, what are you doing here?
not quite a cameo,
Yeah, because it's not. He's
No.
in scenes, man.
but not quite like, oh, there's that guy before he got famous.
But
Do you know
they-
what I mean?
they-
It just- it
Here's a
fits
fact though,
weirdly.
they had to like work around his schedule in order to have him in it. So you know how later on, again, getting into it a wee bit more later, but you know how like obviously they raid the house, right?
Yes.
So you know how he never has any fights, so the rest of them are like having shootouts and stuff like that. Well, he didn't have enough time to learn the choreography for the scrapping and how to like fake use a gun and stuff like that because he was too busy touring. So that's why he just gets shot in the foot, and that's why he's just like freaking out in the bed and stuff like that. They're just getting him to do all the shite bits because he didn't have enough time because he was touring with Red Hot Chili Peppers at the
Why
time
are
because
they
they were peaking at the time.
Oh.
Why did they need him so badly for this?
I know, they could have hired anybody else.
We've watched other films where major actors were recast, and I'm the one that comes to mind is like Twilight, the big film where Victoria gets her biggest moment. She's recast as Bryce Dallas Howard because the original actress was in like a indie film and they couldn't move the schedule for her. In the film that she's most prominent.
Yeah, but they can work around the Red Hot Chili Peppers US tour. Apparently. Aye, fuck it, man. We'll get you whenever. Oh, you're a key part of that fight scene because we fought you earlier.
Johnny
You're the mate.
Depp was
Nah,
considered
fuck
for
it.
this film, and they were like, "Nah," but Anthony Kiedis needs to be in this, no matter what. I don't give a fuck where he is in the world. He's gonna be in this film, and he's gonna play
To
Tone.
be fair, I mean, is it too early to call it? He definitely should be Rogues Gallery, I feel like, for this
Yes,
episode. And
Yeah.
his name is, Tone.
I think that it is quite funny to have them collectively as Rogues Gallery,
names.
but also he is definitely the most roguish out of all of them.
Yeah.
He has like 2 lines or 3 lines, and every single one of them is delivered absolutely obscenely.
He does the most.
Him or Papas for me.
Yeah, I know it's a battle in it, but
I almost feel like Pappas is less roguish in the role that he plays because he is this kind of like
he's meant to be a rogue.
he's meant to be a nuts
a loose
cop.
cannon.
I would argue
He's too self-aware to be in the rogues gallery.
Yeah,
I feel like
okay.
there has to be a lack of self-awareness to be
He
in the
fits
rogues
in the
gallery.
film too well.
No, he does, but I think the implied narrative of him fucking chasing these surfers for years.
Should we wait to the end?
But
Yeah.
the thing is as well, that is actually established in the plot. You know, that he has been chasing them for
Yes.
years. That's
It
not
is.
something that we've come up with.
No, fair
no
point.
reason for Tone to be acting the way. Well, I guess meth. I guess meth would be the reason.
Yeah, meth or crack. It's probably more crack at that time.
But yeah, apart from meth, there's no reason for Anthony Kiedis to be in this film.
No.
But I'm so glad that he is.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
no,
great.
great. It's great.
I hadn't
My
seen it in years, and you were like, "What is this film about?" And I was like, "Surfing, bank robbing." The lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers is in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, are they not Nazis as well? Like one of them's
I
got
don't
like
know
a
whether-
swastika or something.
Oh
on
right,
them.
okay. Because Bodhi describes them as Nazis, but his
Yeah.
reasoning for that is because they don't respect the sea.
I mean,
And I was like, is that
Fair
just
fucks,
his
man.
approximation of like
What a
that would
Nazi
make you
is?
a Nazi? 'Cause
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't-
Oh, yeah, the most evil thing the Nazis did, not liking the respect in the sea. Right, fair enough.
Yeah, he describes them as they're just Nazis, man. They have no respect for the sea. They only want to get radical. So I was like,
Don't
are
you want to
those-
get
are those
radical?
Are those two mutually exclusive things? Are they Nazis, comma, they don't like the sea? Or is that why, are you calling them Nazis
Yeah.
for that reason? I honestly
I
would
think
believe
for
either
the
from
sake
him.
of sanity, it needs to be separate. It needs to be they're Nazis, one. They don't like the sea, they don't respect it, two. And they're trying to be too radical when I'm trying to be...
Yeah.
What was it he trying to be... What's his whole thing again? What was it?
he's trying to find ultimate right.
Oh, he's a modern savage. So apparently a modern savage is fine, but a radical
It's
is
just
not.
semantics, isn't it?
Aye.
But
Aye.
yeah. So we're jumping ahead a wee bit because basically what happens now is our hero Johnny Utah is getting the shit kicked out of him by these 4 other guys. And
Before
he's holding his
before
own.
this, hey, let's not forget. So first of all, Johnny Utah is like, I know what you guys are gonna say. You think that yuppies like me shouldn't be involved in surfing. I get it. And then one of them, who's called War Child, right? He goes, nope. And then Anthony Kiedis, my favorite line, he
do it,
goes,
give it.
that would be a waste of time. But it's like a POV shot as well, and you're like, what the fuck is he fucking doing?
It's the best. It might be one of the best parts of the film.
And
that
then-
one shot is so
funny.
good.
So
How much do you think
funny.
he got paid?
just to
Go on, that's your wheelhouse. Look it up.
I'll go look it up. Christ.
And then Bunker, who's the guy who punched him in the sea, is like,
Yeah.
nah, we're just going to kick the shit out of you, actually. And then he's like, okay. And then he starts kicking the shit out of them with his big pink surfboard, which sounds like a euphemism.
So we've got, just to take inventory of our mental names, we've got Johnny Utah, Angelo Pappas. I mean, Tyler's fairly normal, but it's like the female love interest, so that's kind of slightly out of left field.
Yeah.
We've got Bodhi and Warchild, Tone
Bunker.
and Bunker. I feel like there's another one in that.
There is
squad.
a fourth one, but I just,
feel like he
I
maybe
honestly,
had a boring name.
Honestly,
I
we,
honestly couldn't find his name
Ian.
anyway.
no, honestly, we didn't even need to give nicknames to these characters because they come with their own nicknames.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
it's
I
actually
was-
kind of frustrating.
I was trying to keep up with it in my head, but I kept fucking it. But I was trying to give them all normal names, like, oh, that's Rick, that's Alan, that's...
Is that
Yeah.
not, what
Declan.
did you say, like, broken glass or something? Was what you said at the
Yeah, there's
start.
a character in it called Fiberglass, but I really, for the life of me, have not been able to pinpoint who this is because no one gets called Fiberglass.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is Fiberglass?
Maybe Fiberglass was the fourth rogue in Anthony Kiedis'
Maybe.
regrip, because it
Could have been. I
it's
feel
the-
like there was one. I would say a boarding name. I don't mean a boarding name, but I mean like a in the context of all the other mad nicknames. This was
was
like
just a
not
normal
nickname.
name,
I think
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it was a normal name. It might have been like Alex or something. So funny. He's not initiated yet. He's not earned a nickname.
No.
It's just wee Alex.
Aye.
That's Warchild's brother.
Yeah.
He had to be tagged along. But yeah, so we get them. They're obviously kicking the shit out of him, and then Bodhi appears to save the day. And he's kind of like, this guy's with me, and Big Pappas comes running over, and he's like, those guys, if we're looking for criminals, because I think he pretends that his dogs ran off with a frisbee or some kind of weird excuse.
Yeah, because he
There's
runs
definitely a
around,
dog excuse.
clearly
at some
sees that
point.
he's talking to
Bodhi
or
he's
other
undercover.
surfers and stuff,
Yeah.
I guess. He doesn't know, but then he doesn't know Bodhi's the guy yet, so why is he?
Well, he just looks like he doesn't want to blow his cover.
Yeah, I think he
So
just
he's
doesn't
like,
want to
hey
blow the
man,
cover.
I'm looking for this thing. Like, would you know where it is? And then obviously to signal, Utah's like, I would check those 4 guys out over there. I think he says that someone stole his car radio. That's what it is. Someone stole his car radio. So he's like, it's these guys over there, and that obviously sets in motion the idea that these are these 4, conveniently 4, group of 4 criminals are the bank robbers. And yeah,
4 surfers are the bank robbers.
so the 4 surfers are the bank robbers, and that's going to set in motion this kind of this big heist plan tomorrow, or not heist, but raid. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
They're going to do a big raid tomorrow on these 4 guys. But meanwhile, Bodhi is walking with Johnny. They're having some bonding time. And he's giving him his first like big philosophical speech, which is where he goes into the whole thing about them all being Nazis, and he's just looking for the ultimate ride, and he's so like
They're radical, and I'm a modern savage. Clear distinction, guys. Don't want to get wrapped up into that Nazi bullshit. None of that alt-right pipeline here. We're modern savages.
modern savages.
What?
But even
Funny
though
guy.
they're having this lovely sort of bonding brotherly moment, he will never, ever, ever let him forget his place when it comes to Tyler. Because he's like, hey man, you should come to a party at my house tonight. And he's like, oh, cool. How will I know where your house is? I've not been before. And he's like, oh, come with Tyler. She knows where it is. And that's the end of the scene. And you're like, oh man.
Some flexing between these guys.
Yeah.
Trying to emasculate each other. There's a lot of boying in these movies.
There's a lot of boying in these movies, but then later on, there's just like they kind of go back on their boying. Like he's not overly boying. I don't think he boys as much as like the boying takes place in James Bond, for
No,
example.
definitely
No.
not. It calms down because he
He
counters
ends
it.
up seeing him as an
Because he
equal.
reaches
Recognizes
it,
that he's
but-
being boyed as well. James Bond has no idea that he's being boyed. Like James Bond really fully doesn't care if he's being boyed.
Yeah,
actually.
he doesn't give a shit.
He's so
it's part
unboyable.
of it. Yeah, he's like
He's a true modern savage.
he is because he's like totally. He'll get boyed. He'll then boy people back. That's Bond's whole thing. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys seem to be trying to work out if the other one gives a fuck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they
kinda
ultimately
feel each other
don't,
out.
or they
Yeah.
do, but in the same way, and then they kind of level out.
So yeah, then we end up at his party. There's a lot of kind of chat and get to know each other in this scene, but what it really sort of sets up is at one point they're sitting around the campfire and there is the introduction of the idea of the 50-year storm. So it's meant to be this big storm in Australia, and it happens once every 50 years according to Bodhi, and it's like, like the biggest waves you're ever going to get. Very, very difficult to survive, but all of them are like, yeah, I'd be willing to die for that kind of thrill. And this is where I really like Tyler or B Spiky, because she's just like, yeah, these guys are idiots. You've all had too much to drink. You just are, yeah, fuck
I
this.
think she literally is just like, there's way too much masculine energy
Yeah,
in
that's
this
what she
room.
said.
And
That was also weird for me.
can I
'Cause
be
I was
honest
like, you
with
were sitting going on about this earlier, like, yeah, he's always looking for the ultimate ride, and I love this about him way, and then getting pissed off about it.
yeah, but then they're like actually talking about a real wave that they would want to surf, and she's like, right, that's like suicide. That's
Okay,
stupid,
yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, guys, calm down. Because also, I feel like in her mind, she's like, they're probably not going to actually do this.
Yeah.
What is this
Yeah.
just pish
Mm-hmm.
chat? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is, again, it's that, like, as things are starting to die down about a party at the end, you're just like,
Yeah,
do I
fair,
actually
'cause-
like any of you?
fair, 'cause she doesn't know they're bank robbers.
No, she doesn't.
See, I think I did at that point think that she was like that. I was
One
like,
of them.
they fucking
Yeah, no.
rob banks. Why wouldn't they serve the biggest weight? What are you talking
Nobody
about?
knows except for
No, I realise that.
them and then their wee pal Rosie that shows up later. I think he's the only one who knows they're bank
I
robbers.
still don't understand what Rosie's. Don't even. But like, basically, what you're saying about she knows they're bank robbers. Why wouldn't they want to chase the 50-year storm?
Yeah.
It genuinely had never fully impressed upon me before how bad Johnny Utah is. He completely forgets to do any undercover work, and by undercover work I mean any kind of like investigative thinking.
No.
You're sitting with 4 guys, all surfers, all thrill seekers, who go traveling abroad for all of the years that are not in the summer, are currently planning a trip to Australia like in the winter time or whatever next year.
Which will be their summer, so like
Exactly. Like they never hang about. They're like this, they're like that. It's like all the clues are right in front of him. I'm like, this is exactly what you're looking for. I get you're like, oh, he's won over by their charms and the fact that he feels like one of them and he really likes Bodhi and whatever. But it's just like, man, this is so
This is your
obvious.
job, man.
See when they actually did the moment where he clicked and realised, I was like, shit, I thought he was suspicious of them the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
same.
genuinely didn't have a clue.
You know, at that point, he's just like, oh, pals, great.
Oh,
What
amazing.
does he think is happening at this point? What does he think's going on? Is he just going to a gaff when he's supposed to be working?
Yeah, he's just hanging out.
Oh my god, because he thinks it's the other guys.
Yeah.
He thinks that as of tomorrow his undercover shit's going to be done. Why is he at this party?
He's just at a gaff, getting steaming.
Yeah, he's like, oh, done
With
it,
the
crack
intention.
the case, crack the case, I'm getting fucked. That's why he's late for the work the next day. He's like, we've done it, won't get them. Sorry, I'm late. Fucking, love my new pals. Woo. Fucking having his white girl
He's
summer.
planning on quitting the next day. He's like, what end on a high here, man. Catch the guys, then I'm quitting and going
Australia?
and being a
Fuck yeah.
surfer.
Of course he's not thinking that they're the bank robbers because he's like, he thinks the bank robbers are the Nazis. He thinks that they're going to catch them tomorrow. So that's why he's like, oh, because the guy's like, Johnny Utah, weren't you a college footballer? And he's like, yep, that's me. Like,
He's feeling, yeah, also went to the FBI school. Fucking dropping out of that, though. Like, he's that close away. He's one question away from just dropping it all.
he thinks he's done. He's clocked off. Speaking of which, they end up
He's had his
going-
after party.
Literally. And also, like, they kind of have this moment at the fire and everything, and then you've got Rosie, who is a bit of a roguish character himself, actually. What I didn't get, and I actually sat and counted it out, so you've got the four ex-presidents are Bodhi, obviously,
Yep.
Roach,
Yep.
Gromit,
Sure.
and Nathaniel.
That's fucking so stupid.
So there's four
love it.
presidents.
Sorry, I do.
Johnson, Carter, Nixon, and whoever the fourth one was, not Lincoln. So like there's four guys, four presidents.
Yeah.
So what is Rosie's role in this? For context, Rosie is this kind of surfer guy who is there that night.
But I think is Rosie not the guy who was not surfing, who's sitting by the fire spitting beer in it?
Yeah.
I think he's not even a surfer. He's not a
Is he the
bank robber,
torturer
and he's
guy?
not a surfer.
heavy.
He's just like
Is he the guy that captures
an
her by the head?
absolute
Yeah.
maniac.
He's their maniac.
He's just their
Skipping ahead.
maniac that they just hang about with just in case they need a maniac at some point.
But what does he get?
Doesn't
from
like
it? Just-
surfing.
Is he just
doesn't
a
like
villain
bank
of their
robbing.
group? Is he
Yeah,
just like
he's just yeah.
he's just in it because he likes to be evil? I
Yeah.
guess.
But like they're
A
not
brute.
at this point. They're not being evil because like you could say that, but he's not going on the bank robberies.
Yeah.
Oh, he's waiting for it though. He goes, I can't wait till you fuck up and need me to capture, torture,
But they just
threaten
have
to kill people.
they just
'cause I'll
have
do
like
it.
they
I'll
just
do
have like
it."
a hunk of meat sitting around for when they need him,
Aye.
and they do need him. But like that's just kind of what he does.
I know.
Is he also just there while they're away every like non-summer, just sitting, biding his time, waiting for them to come back and like maybe want
Give
him
him
to
the-
help?
the
rob
Maybe
ultimate
bank?
help him?
mission.
No.
He's like their intern.
Yeah. This
It's
I
also
guess-
quite significant to Bodhi because again, getting on a wee bit later, but basically he gets away with Bodhi at the end of the film. But then when Johnny Utah meets Bodhi in Australia to like confront him, he's like, "Oh, I found that found out he got killed in like Fiji or something
Yeah.
like
I
that."
think he described him as an unclaimed hunk of meat.
Yeah.
She is.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. But like they're so close that they went to Fiji together. So who the fuck is this guy?
No, I feel
Also,
that
his name's Rosie.
is
Yeah.
as ridiculous as it is, and it is quite funny, and it's good to think about. I do think it is a slight weakness because I think it would have been really interesting if he was a bit more characterized and was constantly trying to push the group over the edge. You know, he was constantly like, hey, when you're bringing me, he's like, when I need a bloodbath, I'll bring you. Do you know what I mean? Shit like that. This idea that this guy's pushing it. My only argument for it is because then you make it that it's Rosie's idea to kidnap her at the end.
Yes, but here's my issue with it, right? Your theory on surfers being really peaceful, amazing people who are like really welcoming to the community. Why would they even, entertain that? I think that Rosie just goes mental just right there and then when they need him to. But he's not trying, like, if he's pushing that the entire time, then they're like, well, man, this is not what we stand for as people who are welcoming to the community of surfer people. Like, I just disagree. I think that he's just...
I'm gonna be honest. If it weren't for the fact that we had the captions on when we watched this, I would not have been able to tell you that there were 5 and not 4 characters. I was not keeping a track of who was named what. I actually had to look it up.
Yeah.
Like they all kind of just are like one
Oh, and that works.
They're part of a surfer gang. But the thing about Rosie that I can take issue with is the fact that, like, I just don't get what his relationship is to them in terms of, like, okay, fair enough, I understand if he's like the heavy or whatever, but like part of the reason that Johnny Utah eventually clicks that this is the ex-presidents is because Angela's like, you know, you'll see them, they'll be within a crowd, but they'll be their own little unit and they'll move like this, and he sees them like moving so synchronized, like brothers, like on the waves, and they're just so attuned to each other in the way that they just like completely can anticipate each other's motions and things like that. And I'm like, and then there's Rosie sitting on the beach spitting whiskey into a fire. Like, what does he have to do
He's
with
just
this?
sitting there going,
Like,
one day, one day you'll need me.
Emotionally, what is this? Like, it's philosophically, spiritually, what is this?
Again, we will ask the questions. We never want the
Yeah,
answers.
I actually don't care.
I think it would have just made me believing in that kind of her getting kidnapped a little bit more if he'd been established as the guy pushing it and eventually
Yeah, if
convinced.
he was like the wild card.
Yeah, he was constantly pushing it and then convinced Swayze, hey, fuck it, I'll just capture her, you don't need to know it. I would have just liked that a little bit, but I get why we don't have it as well. It's just for speed and time, and who wants to spend time with fucking Rosie? Even the screenwriters don't want to spend time with fucking Rosie.
Right, so moving on to me and Claude's favourite scene.
Fuck yeah.
So basically, they go night surfing.
Oh, before. Yeah.
They go night surfing. It's supposed to be quite a dangerous surf, but he goes and he has this really profound experience, and he's just becomes like a lighter person. And I think this is where she comments to him that he seems like, you know, almost happy, like he's almost letting go.
He's been playing like football with the guys. He's been bonding with them.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
He's like,
They're all making pals.
Yeah, she's like, you always look like you're hiding something and you got something going on.
Like you're doing
this
this for a school project.
Yeah, like you're doing it for a school project, but now you're just looking peaceful, and it's like, oh, lovely.
And then they have like amazing sex. Like then they immediately cut to them basically shacking up on the beach.
Yep.
Which is great. And then the next morning his alarm's going off and he wakes up and he's like, oh fuck, like shit, I'm late for work.
The raid.
I'm way late for my own raids to catch their ex-presidents in his mind.
Yeah, it's just not like I'm late to go to the office and do some paperwork. I'm late to go and talk to my boss. I'm late for the actual raid that all this was for. But anyway, that's not what's important about this scene.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
He ends up getting waylaid, however, distracted by wee Spikey, and he's kissing her and he's like can't pull himself away from her, and like I was like, oh my god, like this is a very hot scene. And it's so funny because I just looked over it and caught eyes with Claude, and we both just looked at each other and burst out laughing because it was like overwhelming.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, right,
so
guys,
ridiculous.
Like,
Put it away.
Simmer
God,
down.
like to be fair, like we both love Twilight, all these things. We talked about finding guys and things like that hot before, but I have never seen Claude go like red. Like you were literally just sitting there like so flustered, and we were both just sitting there and we just looked at each other and we were like, like screaming.
I was like
funny.
actually fanning myself. I was getting
I think I
so
was
warm.
Doodling. I think I was doodling or writing something down. I was just like, okay, yep, got that tied up, and then I just looked up and just was like, whoa, what happened? What is this tension that suddenly appeared in the room?
We're like this, and Swanee's like, it's not that hot. I think it's all weird face. I don't see it actually.
I didn't say during that
I think
scene.
he just looks a bit weird and artificial. Like
Yes, he
Keanu
does.
Reeves, I think
Almost
he's
looks
maybe
like an
hotter now
alien.
when he's older.
Yes, he is.
But when he was younger, I just think he's got like a kind of weird looking face. And me and Claude are like
He did.
basically rendered past the point of being able to use words.
So
Like
you're
actually
correct in all that.
paralysed.
You're correct in quoting me there, but I didn't say it to that scene because I was like, I can't say it to this scene because it'll come across as very fucking
Very
very
like
wee man, very.
Well, 5 minutes later, it came off.
Yeah,
you were a prince among men.
I brought it out later on, but I very deliberately didn't bring it out
Keanu
at that
Reeves
point.
is so fucking hot.
Oh
man.
my
He's
God.
so fucking hot. Like
He's so attractive.
Yeah, I've always thought he's attractive. I've seen quite a lot of films with him weirdly. I was like looking at like all the films he'd done. I was like, I've seen loads of these. It's so weird, and I've never had it until
This
this
film.
film.
Yeah, this is the only Keanu Reeves film I've ever seen.
I
and
felt-
it was good.
very like me watching Twilight for the first time. It was like a wee callback to that. That's how hot
We were
bothered I
relaxed.
was getting.
Look,
And
it's-
we were
look,
so
to be
relaxed
fair,
about it.
to be fair, that's a fair point you made about maybe not another film, but in that one, yeah, he is hotter in that film. I think he's hotter like when he's older, when he's got the beard, he's got the kind of the age going
Yeah,
on.
because he's more your age.
Well, he's closer to my age then. 25.
Depends what film you mean, but like,
Yeah,
I just
I was thinking you were going more like Matrix, which would have been like
No,
a wee bit later.
I mean like John Wick. I mean,
Oh,
when he's
right,
like in his
okay.
40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I always think there's like there's a slightly almost uncanny valley effect looking at him sometimes when he's younger and shaved. But that's just me. He's no for me.
No, he's so hot.
No, it's exactly. We're
Yeah.
not taking a vote, man. It's hot.
We're not debating this.
Hey,
We're just telling you.
You brought up my opinion.
Also,
about it.
I would like to
So let me
just
clarify it.
as well. I don't want to, kind of sleep on Patrick Swayze here. They're
Yeah.
two different brands of, the ultimate rides to.
Yeah, no, it works. It really does work as that because you can be. It's like
Patrick
oh my god,
Swayze.
it's literally
Scruffy rides.
Team Jacob and Team Edward, and I'm just clearly Team Swayze. That's all it is. That's all this is.
Yeah.
That's all this is. That's all this is. Oh God, predictable.
But in a Team Swayze versus Team Jacob, I would still be Team Swayze 100%.
Well, no one's going up against Jacob and winning.
Wait, what?
No, sorry, no one's.
going up.
Jacob's not winning
No,
ever.
yeah, never. Oh right, okay.
Fucked up that.
I'm gonna calm myself for a second.
Swayze is like scruffy hot, and then Keanu's like very, kind of very clean cut. Like
Yes, yeah. And
Like-
in that sense, it works really well.
very symmetrical.
Oh my god, the movie worked on me so much that it made me go, oh, he's not as hot as my other hottie. And it made me go and defend him. Oh, Christ. I have to have words with myself. So, anyway, he's late for work because he was shagging on the beach. That's what I've written down
Yep.
here. So let's do it. I can't believe you're late to your own raid,
Yes, he's late to his own raid, which is incredible.
which
because
is what someone says.
Yeah, so that comes from Babbitt and Alvarez.
Sure.
And see, actually, those are just like names. Like
Yeah.
those are actually surnames. But again, it's just like it's because no one is in it except for the main characters. So every time you just hear someone's name thrown out, it's like, wait, who?
It's actually really funny though. I actually really, in terms of like quick world building or just like vibe building, so you just giving everyone a fucking stupid name or just emphasizing their nickname or emphasizing their surname, it just works to create this
Yeah.
this world, and I do think it's great.
So
and
Babbitt and
genius
Alvarez
in
as
some
well,
ways.
because we haven't really touched on them much because they're pretty
And
inconsequential.
because there's tons
But-
of characters to talk about. in
Yeah,
this film.
but they have like 3 scenes so far. The first scene is where they're taking the piss out of the surfing idea. The second scene is when they are taking over from Papa's and Utah on the kind of they're scoping out the mad meth surfers. In the most inconspicuous way ever, by the way. Like,
yeah.
it's ridiculous. They just have their car basically parked right outside their house where they're having a garden party, right? And they're like basically sitting at the car window with binoculars, essentially. And then the guys show up, like, what is their name? Babbitt and Alvarez. They show up and then just like take over. So there's 2 cars at some point with their headlights on, pointed towards the house that they're trying to be, like, investigating.
So
It's ridiculous.
Angelo's like in to get into the house is to pretend that his dog's gone missing. But how this is shown is he just starts running down the street screaming, Scooby, Scooby! And I honestly thought that Scooby was the name of a cop and that his
I thought it
level of
was.
subtlety was so lacking. He was just
Scooby is the
running
name of a
down.
cop. Is it not?
No, he's pretending that he's lost his dog. That's how he gets into the
And
house.
we were just like, yep, write that name down. That's
Right?
clearly a nickname.
I was like, so Scooby's another cop, and apparently we've just
Lost him.
We've lost Scooby, and we've lost any sense of like secrecy or trying to be sneaky here. He's just running down the street.
The
yelling
raid's
this
just
cop's
began.
name.
The raid's just began.
But aye, the raid's just began. Utah's nowhere to be seen. He shows up. He's late to his own raid. He's getting a ribbon for it. Things, so we see into the house. I guess Fiberglass is here because their name starts to come up, and we see Tone, the Red Hot Chili Surfer, just like lying on the bed, like freaking out. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it
lying on the
like,
bed and he's like
drug
he's
thing,
listening
or-
to music
Yeah.
and he's like thumping his own chest like this.
Like, just twitching away.
He's just. It's so strange.
I think he's maybe on roids, and I don't know what it's meant to be.
It's like-
Roids, drugs,
Also,
loves the
we
music.
noticed upon a second
He's
watching
listening
as
to Red Hot
well
Chili Peppers.
that not only is he lying in his bed like listening to music and like thumping his own chest, but he's got his ankles crossed in bed as well. Like this.
I want to like put "Can't Stop" over that. Like he's listening to his own music.
He's just yeah, he's just writhing away, coming up with Californication. Like, this is gonna go so fucking well. This is gonna go so fucking well. Ugh. But
But yeah, so he's in there, he's freaking out. Basically, And Johnny Utah sees he's got a wee kind of dentist mirror so he can see kind of what's going on. Papa storms in, immediately flashes his badge to this woman that's kind of there. They've got loads of women running about scantily clad. And Johnny Utah can see that behind him, two of the other... I mean, you run into a house of 4, like, insane surfers that you think are dangerous bank robbers, and you get one of their girlfriends and is like, I'm going to immediately reveal who I am. And I'm just going to run through this house now, knowing that there's probably 4 of you and lots of guns.
No, he knows. He knows.
I know.
But the way that this is even more ridiculous than that. So he is trying to speak to Alvarez on the walkie-talkie, but there's a guy mowing the lawn next to him, so he can't hear him say,
No.
there's guns in the house.
I'm saying, like, Utah's trying to tell the guy this on the walkie-talkie because of the lawnmower kit, but I'm like, why was Angelo Papas's plan, knowing that this is a den of dangerous criminals, to run in, immediately reveal that he's a cop with, like, he takes like one of their girlfriends as a hostage, and is then just running about through the house knowing that the house is full of criminals and guns. Like, what was the plan here?
Yeah, Papas just goes, fuck it, I'm going down. I'm a cop, I've got a gun, and I've got you. Ah! And that's how he conducts the rest of the mission.
And then so Utah gets involved. There's a lot of fighting. Anthony Kiedis gets shot in the foot, as you say.
Before that, though, he's got 3 lines in the whole film, so he's had the wasted timeline. And then before that, the guys are like, shit, there's guys, there's like 2 guys back there, the guy at the door, and he goes, oh shit, we're fucked.
Great line. Great delivery.
Brilliant. But no, so yeah, things are just going like south very, very quickly. This raid has gone as poorly as it could possibly have gone. Lots of bodies piling up. You know, the not bank robbers are getting shot left, right, and centre. One of them manages to break free, and him and Utah end up in a tussle where at some point Utah's face is getting almost forced into a lawnmower. I just love that this guy was like mowing his lawn and was just like, I'm getting as far away from this as I fucking can. Like,
He just, do you know, he doesn't even, because he's like, actually, it's so funny. See, when Papa's eventually plugs the lawnmower out, the guy's just still standing there behind Papa's like, what's going on? For like ages.
Fucking hell, man.
But yeah, it's quite visceral, because there is a kind of intrusive thought level of like, oh my god, that would be horrible, imagine. And you're just like, don't let it hurt his beautiful face, oh my god.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I really want to fuck up his face. That'd be really funny if Papas has had to do the rest
What's
of
up
the
with
mission
you
himself.
and wanting to fuck up our beautiful men's faces? This is what you wanted to do with Edward as well, make him a grotesque, disgusting vampire. And you
Not
want
in our film.
No, not in our film.
Fair enough.
Not to our men.
Not to our
Those are our men out there.
But yeah, so again, Angelo comes over with just like the most ridiculous, cheesy. He comes over with his gun and goes, "What is it? Speak into the microphone, squid brain." And I'm like, honestly, I genuinely think he could have been there 10 seconds earlier if he wasn't like running across the lawn trying to come up with that.
Yeah, I genuinely thought he was going to just shoot the guy point blank when he said that, and I was going to be like, how are we justifying that? But he doesn't. He doesn't go quite that far.
No.
He holds back because he thinks he's got them.
He does have very little respect for life, though, because they're kind of cleaning up afterwards. Obviously, things have settled. You know, people have been handcuffed and
people have
things.
been handcuffed, manhandled, naked, and it's just all like, shot and
it's all a
much.
bit much. Anyway, they're wiping the blood off themselves in the bathroom.
It's all about LAPD, isn't it?
It is all about LAPD. But Pappas loses some points with me at this bit. He goes, "It's always been paper targets for you, huh? It's no different, just a little more to clean up." I'm like, oh wow, showing your true colours there, Pappas. This is grim.
He also says later on, like slightly later on, when Johnny's trying to take him on another mission, he's like, "Oh, last time you took me on a mission, I had to kill people. I don't like that. It looks bad on my record." So he's not got a lot of regard for human life, which is kind of funny though, because he's just that intent on getting these fucking surfers. It's like, I don't give a fuck whose life ends, as long as I get these fucking surfers, man. I don't give a fuck.
Who cares? Who cares? This is all like, fuck it. Fuck the family. Fuck life. Fuck the pension. Fuck the rest of my life. As long as I get these fuckers, I'm complete. And he technically does.
Yeah.
At risk of sounding like Spawny. The bank robbers have more regard for human life than the police do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
they
do.
At this point, they have less of a body
To be fair, Papa's is getting shot at by these guys. Let's not pretend that that's not happening.
I mean, he does
But-
take a human shield though at the very start,
which is a woman who I
which
don't
isn't
think
very
is
ethical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
definitely,
Listen,
imagine that was like imagine that was like the guy's wife. I know it's not, or girlfriend, or anyone that you knew, and you grabbed them.
Yeah.
You would be like, well, you know, like he's.
Listen,
he's
I'm not
escalating
getting
that
into the
situation.
moral implications of Point Break.
But
It's what
the
it
thing
is.
he's very casual.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, just a bit of blood to clear up. It's like, okay.
And also, you've got the guy who gets biled over by two cops in the most clumsy, ridiculous way that looks like it was a fucking accident. Like, they just barrel into him and they're all just like cunt it all at the same time. And that turns out to be another cop who's undercover,
Yes,
who's been
played
like,
by Tom Sizemore.
Yeah. So this is it. It wasn't the bank robbers. And then this is where he should have gone, shit. It's my new pals. The other 4 surfers from that exact same beach who are never there apart from in the summer.
must be them.
Nope. No.
Nope.
The penny has not dropped. Basically, they're getting a
He's
bollocking
just
from
like,
Dr.
oh
Cox.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fucked
they
it
fucked
again.
up a narcotics raid. Turns out there's another undercover agent, Tom Sizemore, and he's like, you fuckers, I've been trailing these guys for years. You've blown
My
it.
wife wants me back home.
Yeah.
He's like, I've lost my life to this.
He's like, do you think I like having my hair like this? My wife's put me in a motel. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
actually, he's having this
Nice
same
tattoo,
edit.
man. He's got a fucking tattoo for this
And then
operation.
Papa, I imagine they just turned to Papas and go, didn't you know this guy? And he's like, haha, oh yeah. Like, you can imagine him just going, oh, Frank, hey.
It is ridiculous. But also, I just feel as if, like, surely when this raid was getting ordered, like, someone at some point would have been
Must
like,
have known there
wait,
was...
4 criminal surfers. Also,
Yep.
if they knew that these surfer criminals
Yes.
were cat dealers, then why was it so ridiculous?
I don't think they're cat dealers. Were they cat dealers?
Yeah, well,
Oh no, not
meth
cat, sorry,
dealers.
meth
Yeah, yeah,
dealers.
yeah.
They were like massive, like some kind of meth conglomerate, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so ridiculous that this guy's suggesting that these bank robbers could be surfers." It's like, but the meth dealers are surfers.
So anyone could be a surfer. Yeah, and you know what? You've already got someone actively embedded in that group.
You've already got somebody
Oh my
being
God.
an undercover surfer.
Again,
Yeah.
this goes back to what you were saying. The departments are just no talking to each other.
yeah.
The
They're just-
LAPD have
communication.
2 undercover surfers in their midst.
and they've
So
not
why-
even talked about it.
So why is Alvarez and fucking Babbitt taking the piss out of Keanu so much for
Yes.
it?
Oh my
Also, Tom Sizemore must have been
different
like,
department, and they're
Maybe
just not
maybe
talking.
they're just jealous. Maybe they're like, how the fuck does this keep happening? Why am I never sent out on the
Right.
pretend to be a
All-
surfer
all
mission?
this film is showing is that the LAPD are just fucking cowboys when it comes to all this shit. They're just going for it. Hey, you want a bounty? Go for it. However you want to do it, go for it. Money? Go for it. Want to get taught to surf? Go for it. One day at the academy? Fucking get out there, son. Why are you still here? What? I can't. Sorry,
Tom
I don't.
Sizemore, though, I feel like part of his rage comes from the fact that, like, you know, he's lost everything. His wife's not happy with him. He's had to go undercover. He's had to get a tattoo. He's had to this ridiculous haircut. Everything's been blown. He's obviously got every reason to be raging at this guy. But think about it from his perspective, right? Everyone will have been like, you need to do this, man. It's going to be hard, but you look like a surfer. But he doesn't really look like a surfer.
No,
he
he
looks way
doesn't.
more like a dad who's
Yeah.
undercover as a
He
surfer.
looks like he's
He
taking-
looks like a nut.
He's like he's taking your son to the surfing.
And then Johnny Utah shows up.
And he's like, fuck.
And he's the
you,
new
man.
undercover surfer, and he's ruined everything for him, and he looks like that.
Yeah, and then Tom's-
you would be like, why the fuck do I have this face tattoo? Why is my wife not
Or
speaking
he'd
to
be
me?
like, where was he? Why can't I use this guy? Perfect. Ideal. Oh, he's embedded in surfers too. Who the fucking thought that was a good idea? Oh, I really feel for Tom Sizemore's character. That's like protagonist.
Justice for-
protagonist we didn't know.
Whatever his fucking ridiculous name is in it.
Oh, fuck knows. Cheeks. Something like that.
Cheeks.
Fucking lollipop. I don't know. Right. Can we take a little break? I just need to go to the toilet quickly.
Yes, so do I.
Bathroom break.
Okay.
Also, I need to be quick.
We're actually a reasonable way through it. We've not got much more to cover.
You guys on your phones, you phone zombies. Phone zombies.
Oh, we need to do the sponsorship thing as well.
What was the sponsorship thing?
Or do we just use your clip every time in it?
Yeah, I think so. Just use the last one.
Cool.
If it's not too shite. Don't know if I came across awful in it.
I've like been internally burping the whole way through this podcast. I keep taking myself by surprise, and I just keep going at like nothing. So unless the microphone is picking up the fact that there are like burps just cutting about in me, it's just gonna look like I'm constantly being scandalized by like really basic things. Okay, are we ready to just start, or do we need to let Cammy know?
I think he's in the bathroom.
He's in the kitchen bit. Oh, now I can't see myself at all. What was the fucking point of that?
Just brush it forward, man.
No, I was just wanting to see what I look like.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Got cooked before. An opportunity to do so. Look at us, we look lovely. Better call Saul. Bow, bow. You drink one, drink 3 Long Island iced teas. But your buddy's worse off and he hands you his car keys. Blue lights start blinking
You
4
good?
o'clock in the morning. State trooper makes you wish that you'd never been born.
Good to go?
Call Saul.
Okay.
Whew.
Right, where did we get to before we stopped there? Yep, so the cover's been blown, poor guy. Right, so they all go surfing again. They get dragged out of bed by Bodhi, and he does see them surfing together now for the first time, obviously with the realisation that it wasn't the Red Hot Chili Surfers. It could be anyone, and he gets it. He sees them together. He gets
Sees
the
how disciplined
fluidity
they
of
are,
them.
yep.
He's like, oh yeah.
They're so
See,
synchronized.
Oh,
One
you
of-
guys pull your mics in again.
Sorry.
You all good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you want us to start again?
No, it was okay actually. I think it was just your mic clip. It's
It
alright.
was.
Go on.
Yeah.
so he sees the band of brothers, crowd within a crowd, literally fitting every single.
One of them
Profile.
even moons the rest of the beach when he's on the surfboard.
It couldn't.
Be more
We
obvious.
can't really give him a lot of credit for putting this together. It's
We thought he had it.
They're giving him so much
Yeah.
breadcrumbs at this point,
to
man.
be fair, and also they are not doing a particularly great job of hiding it. To be fair, they don't know that he's an FBI agent,
No.
but also again.
You'd be
Probably
a
saying
wee
back
bit-
to them that they should have been suspicious because he's done nothing. Also, they could have I don't know what the internet provision was in 1991. I don't feel like it would be that hard to look up someone called Johnny Utah.
No, I'm pretty sure. When did they learn that he is in the FBI? Because that's pretty soon.
Yeah, when he reveals himself to
No, they know before because that's why he takes them on the.
No.
No,
They find out
we're getting
when
there.
he shouts FBI freeze and starts shooting at them.
Oh,
That's
right,
when they
okay,
know
yeah,
that
no,
he's
no,
part
sorry.
of the FBI.
Talking shite, yeah, because we've got him
Yeah.
busting into the scene. You're right. That happens
So-
before the skydive.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
So they go surfing again. He makes the dots, and this is really a brilliant, really cheesy flashback moment where she goes, "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." And he gets a flashback to Angela being like, "Nah, man, they're like ghosts. You're never gonna catch them," which is not even like a clue that he should have picked up on.
No.
It's a hilarious thing for us to
Was
call
it
back.
Pappas that says it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Say
Sorry, I thought it was
Pappas.
Angela. I thought you said Angela.
Angelo.
Sorry. Yeah. That's just me being a
Pappas.
total idiot. Yeah,
So
Angela.
Big Papa says that, and it's just like that wasn't even a clue, man. Why is that what's right? Fine. And then he makes this brilliant because I keep forgetting that his cover is that he's a lawyer who likes to surf,
Yeah.
and he goes, "I had a client I forgot about," and I'm like, it's clearly like
7 in the morning.
right. He just runs off down the beach without saying goodbye to anyone. Really, she's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm like a client. I just remembered I'm a lawyer." It's just so ridiculous. Anyway. Obviously, the next scene we see is him talking to Big Papas, and he's like, "I trailed Bodhi today. It's all starting to add up. I think it's him." And they realize that they've probably got one last chance to hit them. They're going to be moved out of town soon. They actually, I think, go back to his place, and it's cleared out. They're like, "Oh, he's planning on leaving. This is definitely our guy. And so they're like, right, one chance, let's get this. They are sitting outside a bank.
Yeah, Guy Busey is like reluctant at first as well. He's like, I don't know, last time you got me into a mission, man, it was like totally the wrong guys. We totally fucked up this
What are you
guy's
talking
life.
about, Gary Busey?
People got killed, you know, and then he's like, but the reason then he goes for it is he's like, do you know what? I think this is a bad idea, but I think Dr. Cox is gonna fucking hate it, so I think we should just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves just turns around and goes, my man, and then gives him a high five.
I just love
my
that,
man.
that this
No,
film,
he doesn't even say it like that. He says it the most wooden I think he said any line this entire film. He
Yeah,
goes,
I'm trying to
my
do it,
man.
My man. Yeah, I can't even do it. It's fucking ridiculous.
I was going to do it there, but I couldn't not do it. I was just going to do it in my own accent, like, my man.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, yeah,
My
I can
man.
see him being a Scottish actor who's just like kind of vaguely mastered an American accent, but doesn't want to do anything too enthusiastic in case it doesn't work. But yeah,
Very funny.
so again, the LAPD, this is not showing them in a very good light. And yeah, they just want to piss off their boss. They're going to go to this raid, and they're sitting outside the bank. This is the one that they're expecting them to hit, and they're waiting for these guys to show up. And then Big Pappas is like, go and get me a sandwich. Go and get us 2 sandwiches. Actually, get me 2 sandwiches, and then you can get yourself one. And with very little resistance, Utah is like,
Yeah, sure, man.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to go get a sandwich.
Oh,
I'm going
good
to go
idea.
get a sandwich. I'm going to turn my back to the bank that we're staking out. And I'm going
It's
to...
very slapstick, that part.
It's so funny.
It's hilarious.
It feels like a parody because as he's ordering a sandwich and like even turns back, checks over his shoulder, nothing. He's giving the guy the money or waiting for the sandwiches or whatever, and you just see these comical, like rubber face masked men get out of a car and go running into this bank. Meanwhile, Angelo is, I don't know.
He's reading the paper.
He's reading. He's
Playing with
reading
himself,
Calvin
like-
and Hobbes. He's like giggling away to himself at Calvin and Hobbes. He's like, "This is fucking hilarious." He's just
Like-
discovered it.
Doing absolutely nothing.
Buzzing for his 2 hot dogs that he's asked for. He's repeated 2 hot dogs. Hey, 2 or is it 3? It's a lot of hot dogs that he's asking for.
He gets 2, and then he's like, "I wish I'd got 3."
Yeah,
what he
that's the thing
says.
is that they don't even realize after they don't even realize after it's happened that they've been hoodwinked. They're sitting there munching on their sandwiches, and then he's like, "Wait, what's that car doing there? That wasn't there before." And then they realize that they've missed.
Yeah. And then
They've missed the heist.
Yeah, and then immediately, as soon as he sees them coming out the building, Keanu Reeves leaps forward and goes, FBI, freeze! And it's like,
Like-
oh my god, you've been making yourself so well known on this beach.
No chill. Like he's like, I'm gonna give it all up for this. He's like, I honestly, maybe he's just like, I'm knackered. I'm a bit done with this, to be honest. Let's just drop the pretense.
You did this without me?
Yeah, he's like feeling left out. So then we get, honestly, I mean, I don't really watch a lot of actiony films. I think I've said this like a couple of times on the podcast for things that I've enjoyed-ish that are actiony. But this is a good chase scene. I
It's
like
amazing.
this chase scene.
Very good
It's
chase
great.
scene. So fun.
It's quite funny as well because like, is this the point where Nathaniel says like, this is all getting a bit much when he's like burning the car?
Yeah.
So they have their
Yeah.
getaway vehicle. Obviously, Bodhi wants to get all the fingerprints and evidence and things off of it, so he just douses it in petrol. He's like this flamethrower torch, like absolutely burning this car.
Fucking nuts.
It's all starting to get a little bit more like this is not how things were meant to go. Things are starting to catch up with him a little bit, and for the first time, things are not going completely smoothly to plan. But yeah, I think this is the point maybe where Nathaniel is like, oh, I don't know about this, guys. This is getting a bit much for me. And I was like, he's the Selena Gomez of this film. And for context, I've never seen the film Spring Breakers, but I have been told the plot of Spring Breakers by these guys. And when we used to go on like road trips and stuff like that together, we would joke that we were the cast of Spring Breakers, and we would argue like which of the girls was which of which. And apparently, I'm Selena Gomez because I'm the one that would patch it at the earliest sign of
Yeah.
trouble. I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna put
Selena Gomez shows up. They start to kind of like, you know, be naughty, and then she's like, "I think I'm gonna go home, guys. I don't like it.
And ever since then,
I'm gonna call my mum."
the nickname Selena Gomez has haunted me every single time I've been not cool about something.
Yeah,
Therefore,
Nathaniel is.
Gomez.
Nathaniel
Nicholas.
is the Selena Gomez, of
And
the
that's why he's
ex-presidents.
also called Nathaniel, because he's lame.
Yeah, he's lame, and they gave him a really mean nickname, and he was like, "Guys, I don't like that nickname. I think it's rude. It's a derogatory word, and I don't feel comfortable being called that. And they're like, all right, fine, have it your way, Nathaniel.
Yeah. Well, his name
name's
was like
actually
his name was like
Nathan.
Max Speedster. They were like Nathaniel.
Yeah, he goes by Nathan. They gave him a cool nickname. He rejected the nickname, and now he's Nathaniel. For his sins, he's Nathaniel.
Listen.
But yeah, so they have this chase scene. All the other ex-presidents kind of drop off. It's just Johnny. It's just Bodhi, and they have this. They chase each other for ages. They get to this point where Bodhi's climbing on this fence, and Johnny has sort of jumped from a great height, has fallen his trick knee from his college days, the thing that put him out
Damn it.
of pro football, has been buggered. He's writhing on the ground in pain, but he has a clear shot of Bodhi at the top of the
fence that he's climbing over.
and they lock eyes. They have a very intense moment of eye contact where it's like, what's going to happen here? I think he's like, there's only one way that you're going to get me to come with you. And he doesn't do it. He can't do it. He has the moment. He could take the shot. Bodhi even like leaves him there for a second. He gives him an opportunity.
Yeah, he's
to do it.
daring him to do it.
feeling
He
him
keeps
out.
to, but that's
Point
what he
the gun.
does throughout the entire film. He's constantly pushing him. He's like, go and do it then, go and do it then, and he's like knows that he won't, you know.
Shoots up in the air.
So yeah,
Which I'd obviously seen parodied to death.
can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah, of course. I was just interjecting.
No, you even get this at the start of the film, which kind of is a bit of a foreshadowing to, because they're like, you didn't miss that shot, because when he's doing the very beginning shot of the film is he's playing target practice with these like cardboard cutouts, and he like every shot he gets, and when he's walking into the precinct with Dr. Cox, they're like 100% shot, yep, nailed it. That's why he got into the precinct in the first place, because he's like a really clear shot, he never misses, so they know that he fucked it because he got too pally with Bodhi, and it's his pal, and he just wants to shoot
I
him.
don't want to shoot my friend. I'll shoot a bunch of meth lab people, but I'm not going to shoot
My pal.
Great scene.
and then he shoots up a million times into the air.
It is a great scene.
It's
It
amazing.
is brilliant.
So
The eye
iconic.
contact back and forth is great.
Yeah.
Through the
however-
mask.
However, that's not actually Patrick Swayze in that scene.
Yeah, I know.
It's his stunt double because Patrick Swayze was
Is
Promoting
it
Ghost.
his eyes?
promoting Ghost. I don't even know if it's his eyes.
I would hope it was his eyes.
Probably is.
Well, it's his eyes. It's just all the stunts and stuff was not him.
An old actual. run.
However, pretty much all the other stunts were him, including the skydiving. He skydived 55 times for this film
Jesus Christ.
just to get the shots for it.
That's
Yeah.
not bad. That's
He,
pretty
do,
good
he, do,
going.
he does it. It's his hobby. It's a hobby he has.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure they.
He broke 4
They
ribs
told him-
surfing as well.
Yeah, they told him. I'm pretty sure the studio. I remember reading it said they told him, okay, if you're going to be skydiving in the film, you cannot be skydiving out with the film because the insurance will not fucking cover it. And he was like, oh, okay. I'm just going to do it 50 times when we film now. Or what the fuck.
Fair enough.
Which is cool.
That is cool. That's cool fact. Now, yeah, all the surfing was real too, which is mad.
Yeah. hmm
Pretty cool.
I think, apart from the last one.
Oh yeah, that wasn't him. That was a stunt double.
don't
But
even
like
think that was a
other than
real
that,
person.
everyone who surfed in the film had to learn how to surf.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that last one is actually
It
real.
is. I can't remember what the name of the stunt double
Wee
is. but I looked it
Spikey
up.
had never seen the sea before she was in
Yes.
Point Break.
Yeah.
That was the first time she was ever in the water. And Keanu Reeves had never surfed, but after he was in Point Break, he was like, I love surfing, and he took it up as a hobby.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when that happens. I love it when like an actor's in a film and then they discover a new life passion. I'm like, that's one of the cool things about acting, man. Like all
Yeah.
these little like hobbies and things
Great.
you've picked up from your career.
Like
I love it.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis now is an expert tailorer.
Genuinely, one of the reasons I never wanted to pursue acting is that I have no fucking interest in learning how to ride a horse.
What?
I thought about it, right? And I was like, stunt people, whatever, fair enough. Like, maybe that could be fun if you got into it. But I hate horses.
Just don't be in a film with a horse in it then, man.
It's quite hard. I think if you were to be a successful actor, there's so many
Is it?
actors who have to be in films where they have to ride horses.
Yeah, okay, but
Not enough to be like,
warrant
I will
that.
not
Like-
follow my life's passion because I might have to get on a
I
horse
said
at some
one
point.
of the reasons that put me off. I didn't want to be. I was.
It's
never
the
gonna
only
be
reason
active.
you've ever mentioned.
yeah.
I hate horse. I went on a pony trek once and it was scarring.
On
But
a
that's the
pony
thing. People,
trek.
actors
What
have
a
to learn all
quote.
this shit all the time. Can you imagine if you got like, oh, this is the dream role of a lifetime, but there's going to be scenes you're going to have to make sure you got these skills, whether it's surfing or horse riding or something. That's what almost like actors, like people kind of give actors like, oh, it must be quite an easy job. But this shit they have to learn for stuff sometimes is like absolutely obscene. Like you know, there's always some kind of action element to it that they can't really get around shooting without them in it. And often that is horse riding. And I just don't ever want to have to ride a horse.
Shocking. This is ridiculous.
You're not a horse
What
girl.
are you talking about?
Absolutely not a horse girl. Anyway.
But yes, I don't think that should be factored into what you're saying. But fair enough. Fair enough if you feel that way.
So after the big chase, obviously, and this is again, it's caused a bit of confusion because you're like, why is he hanging out with them again? They know he's an FBI agent. And they're like, I was like, yes, but they
can't blow
don't
their
know
cover.
that he knows it's them.
It's a whole, yeah.
So like there is, I mean, they obviously probably are very suspicious that he knows it's them, especially because Bodhi and him had that very connective moment. But like the pretense has remained. The pretense is like they can keep up an air that they don't all know what's going on. So he's obviously he's got to explain to wee Spikey what's going on with him. He pretends he's been hit by a car. They have a really tender moment where I think he's going to tell her that, you know, he's fallen in love with her now, but initially it was a cover, and she's like, no, don't tell me if it's going to be something sad. And then he wakes up and she's like shooting his pillow because she's found his FBI badge.
She just carries with them.
You know,
She's
not
just
hidden
left
anywhere.
lying about. Like,
Is that a
come on,
requirement
man.
as an undercover agent to have your badge on you at all
I'm pretty
times?
sure it's a requirement not to have your badge on at all times if you're an undercover fucking agent.
It just feels as if like, but also why is he just left it like you would put it somewhere where
Especially
you're
if she's over.
absolutely sure. Oh God.
But anyway, she finds
It's stupid. So she finds it. She's obviously no best pleased that he lied to her about. She's not even like bothered necessarily with the FBI agent thing. She's like, you've told me that your parents died, and that's what connected us.
Aye.
And that was an absolutely horrible lie to tell. And he's like,
Yep, fair.
yeah. So he tries to chase after her. The knee plays up again.
Of course.
He's writhing on pain in the ground. She gets away. So yeah, things are not going super well for Johnny Utah. His best pal is a criminal that he's bound to arrest, and his girlfriend has found out that he's an undercover FBI agent and now fucking hates him.
Yep.
So where are we? Hang on.
Now are we not at the point where he's trying to get her back and he comes out with this?
Is there no other scene in between this and the phone call of him trying to
I
get
think
her
there
back?
might be a scene in which the ex-presidents are all talking about it, and they're like, "This is really bad, man. Like, this is getting too much.
Yeah.
I was signed up for bank robbing. It did not sign up for like gunfire and like
Yeah.
special agents and stuff like that." And then Bodhi's just like, "Shut up, Nathaniel."
And then we cut to
And then we cut to
Keanu
fucking
Reeves on the phone.
Johnny Utah on the phone being like,
Oh yeah, okay.
and then what is it he says? He's like, you know, I thought that you'd leave. Good guess, huh?
Yeah.
Damn it, why can I never say what I really feel?
This gives me a visceral reaction.
Same. From doing it.
I was the same from having it done to me. There's a certain level of like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, but I did.
Sorry, I'm not perfect. Sorry, I had mistakes and you got hurt, but I just gotta know who I am.
Fuck, why can't I never say what I really mean?
Fuck.
Shut up. It's just so, like this is the one bit where I don't fancy him in this film. I'm like, go and put a bandage on your knee and wait and
Grow
do
up.
something about it. Stop leaving her these pathetic voice messages.
This is like his 10th one as well. I wonder what he
so
said in the other ones. Do
misunderstood.
you know what I mean? What has he said in the
Oh,
other
God,
ones?
yeah,
It's
you're right.
ridiculous.
To
So
be honest, she was probably like, look, I'm raging about this, but I love him. If I got those voicemails, I would be like,
oh, forget it.
Jesus
Fuck it.
Christ.
Doesn't matter.
No amount
Fucked
of
it.
amazing beach sex is
Absolutely.
worth this.
I go tell them. I'm going to go and tell the dead presidents because you're fucking
The
cringing
dead
me out, man.
presidents.
The ex-presidents.
Ex-president.
And then they show up at his house. And they're like, we're going on a wee adventure. And he's like, are we?
And then he's
I don't
hiding his
want to
badge.
feel like surfing right now, man, as he wipes away a tear from his bleeding face.
Yeah, hiding his fucking badge underneath like a pillow or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
he doesn't grab his gun.
Yeah.
He
'Cause
tries to get his gun.
He tries to
Doesn't
get
get
his
it,
gun
and
and he can't get it.
So they take him out on a wee jolly, and they decide that they're gonna go skydiving, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't know, man. I actually really hurt my knee yesterday." And Bodhi's like, "Really? You hurt your knee yesterday? How'd that happen?" He's like, "Don't know."
It's like it's so uncomfortable. It's like
They know that he knows, and he knows that they know, and that nobody can say anything.
And then that's like, because in the knowledge of this, they're going up in the plane. Obviously, they know that they're skydiving. And Bodhi's like, here's your pack, man. And he's like, is it? Like, I don't know about this. this would be a very easy way to kill off the undercover cop that you know is an undercover cop that's trying to get you for all
But
these bank
also,
robberies.
also, at this point, they're not being aggressive or pushy. Why the fuck is he getting in the plane?
I
Like,
don't
it's
know.
a very, very fucking risky thing to do.
Yeah.
Is getting a plane with people who want to go skydiving,
he's
who
maybe
you've
just,
been
like-
shooting at the day before.
Maybe they still want to be my pal.
Keep pretending.
maybe everything's going to be okay.
Maybe it's all going to work out.
Do you know what? I pretend I do not see it. Like, he's just like, I'm just gonna. This sounds like fun. I want to have fun with my pals. I want to just forget about the job thing. You know, everyone's got to have a day off at some time. Let's call this my weekend. They're not criminals right now. But nah. So they go up in the plane.
His
and he's
entire job's a fucking weekend, man.
like, to be fair, exactly.
Fucking life's a weekend at this point.
So they go up in the plane, and he's like, I don't want this pack. I don't know how I feel about this. But he's like, fine, we'll swap. And they're like, ooh, is that a double bluff?
Yeah.
And then they all just start swapping the backpacks around. And I'm like, they're all mental enough, though, that this could just be backpack roulette. One of them's not going to pull their parachute. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. They go skydiving. They jump out the plane.
So this is where I think my turning point for liking the film actually came in. Because when I saw that we were going to skydive, and then I'd read something about Patrick Swayze doing skydiving, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Instead of fucking surfing montages, I'm going to get them just hanging out and skydiving, right? And I was just, I was like, this is...
What do you like about action films?
Let me finish.
But also,
What do
you mean instead of... This is like, we're
Please let me
nearly at the
finish.
end of the film.
No, we've still got 40 minutes left. Anyway, this was a major one for me because I was like, right, fuck, this is going to be fine. Okay. But no, it's the fact that when they jump out, it's the linking together and then they use the stunt, not just sort of, oh, cool stunt. It's cool stunt. And then it solidifies the emotional connection between the characters.
They're besties.
And I was just like, that is so fucking smart. That is so well done. And then I think having that realization watching that, I kind of it reframed a lot of what I'd seen before. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I kind of get this a bit more now. We're not, because I was worried it was just going to be, oh, look how amazing surfing is. Look how amazing these stunts are. And that's it. With some funny lines, some cheesy lines. And I was like, shit, I'm going to hate this. But the fact that there was an actual emotional core that was between the two main characters for me getting explored physically and a big mad stunt scene, top marks. That was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that scene works so well, and it is kind of almost comical the way that they kind of like swim together. They float through the air and join hands, and it's just
Brilliant.
like
They
there
are
should be
just like best pals. And
Yeah.
like Keanu Reeves, and more so than anyone in it, is so excited. He's like, yes, I'm out with my pals.
he has forgotten. Like,
He totally has,
ex-president
man.
Who, like, he has completely forgotten his mission. He's forgotten why it's there. He's forgotten who they are. He is just having the best time.
Being
with
a
his
police officer
bros.
is so cool.
I know, right? He's just like, this is great. And then you get the moment where they all start to pull their parachutes. I guarantee you, Nathaniel pulled his first, as I would
Guaranteed.
expect my sensible boy to. And it's just Swayze and I love how I keep going between calling them nicknames, their real character names, their real character last names, and the actors' names.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Utah and Bodhi. It's the two of them, and they're basically kind of like playing chicken with who's going to pull their parachute the last kind of thing.
There's like some kind of tension between them as well. It's like from this point on in the film, as in like you're almost like, are they gonna kiss at some point? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're like so, you know, like you do it.
It's
No,
kind of
you
like
do
a
it.
soulmate bond between them. Like, it's like they only really truly understand each other.
They've got more res with each other than either of them did with Tyler.
True, very true. But the thing is, like, they both they both surround themselves with people who are like minded. Like, you know, Johnny Utah's got Pappas, who's this other kind of like mental cop guy who's like full energy. Bodhi's surrounded himself with other free spirit, free thinkers. But the only
Apart from Rosie.
but the only person who really mirrors that energy they don't recognize in anyone else but each other is each other. And that's
Yeah.
like so like that. And I said this to Swanee also. I was like, this for me kind of like, I feel like as a viewer, you are so sympathetic with this scene and with this because like everyone likes to think of themselves as having like a slightly wild side and then they're kind of more everyday, logical, realistic self. And it's kind of like it represents both halves of your own brain and
Yeah.
your own wants and desires. You've got like this sort of, you know, slightly more reckless, gonna get you into trouble, free-spirited heart, and then you've got like the head, but it is so easily seduced by what the heart wants. And
Yeah.
I think this like captures it so well. It really captures that like all logic is going out the window. Everything else that exists on the ground is not real right now. This is just about like the thrill of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that ties it is the kind of like the thesis of the film. It ties it all
Yeah, I
together.
think
This is such
it
a good
works really
scene.
well for that.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're back to Earth literally with a bang.
Yeah, because it's Just for who pulls first.
Yeah.
It's obviously Keanu pulls. Johnny Utah pulls Bodhi's chute.
No, Bodhi
No,
pulls
that's-
Johnny
no,
Utah's
right,
shit.
sorry, but yeah, of course.
And he's like, oh, what are you like, you scamp?
yeah.
Yeah. At this point, even I've almost forgotten what the film was about and how we got here.
Okay,
in
the
the first
end,
place.
they landed
They're
and
like,
they were all pals,
Yay,
and
we're
it was lovely.
friends, love that for them. And then he's like, oh man, come look at this cool thing in the van.
Come look at this this video I found on YouTube.
Yeah. And it's
Come look at Rosie's new project.
and we get to the van and it's like, oh look, I've kidnapped your girlfriend. She's at an undisclosed location and Rosie's like
Holding a knife to her
holding a
throat.
knife to her throat. She seems very distressed.
He's doing too much in that video. He's like looking into the camera.
It's
It's very
too
horror
much.
movie-esque at this point.
It's like the Joker's fucking like tapes that he's sending out in the Dark Knight.
Aye, I know.
Fuck
And this
me.
is like Keanu's just like, what?
No,
My pal?
bruh,
Like,
no way.
he's like, why did you take me skydiving first? And like, oh, fuck, I just had the best experience of my life. And then you're like, I've kidnapped and tortured your girlfriend. So he explains it basically, the reason that he's got Rosie to do that is that he wants a kind of insurance policy. Bodhi's planning on getting out of Dodge, but they want to do one last big bank heist 1st to cover their travel. This is the one that's going to close everything out. And he doesn't want Johnny to get in the way. So he's like, right, this is my insurance policy. I have to be at this place at this time to tell Rosie not to kill wee Spikey. Otherwise, he's going to do it. Which all feels a little bit like a reach. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's very
But
he was
contrived.
never gonna.
Which is
He was
why-
never gonna kill wee Spikey.
Well, that was the whole point why I was more like it should have been a bit more characterization for Rosie, and it's Rosie who ups the stakes here and takes her.
I didn't need to see any more Rosie.
No, fair. No one, as I say, even the screenwriter didn't want more Rosie. They wrote them and went, actually, fuck this guy. This guy's fucking shit.
the thing is, at this point, like, there's been no body count at all for the bank robbers, so it sort of feels a little bit less like, there's less jeopardy. It feels like at this point
Yeah.
for this reveal
To be
because it
fair,
doesn't really feel as if
Swayze
they're going
does
to
say,
hurt her.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't
Yeah.
hurt her. But Rosie
He's
fucking could.
Yeah.
man, I really hate violence.
And he's like, she really loves you, man. Like, more than she ever loved me. Like, you should definitely want to save her life because she loves you. And it's like, what? Again, he's just like,
I thought you were my
I don't
pal.
know if you remember, but I used to have sex with her. Like, and I'm telling you, from the point of view of someone who knows her really well, because we used to have sex, she loves you, man.
Well, look, this is all just shorthand to give stakes and then make sure that Johnny Utah sticks with her plan, which is, of course,
Yes,
robbing the
so
bank.
they want to rob the bank. They're going to bring him along with them. And he doesn't get a mask because there's only 4 ex-presidents and nobody knows why Rosie is part of the plot.
you mean, oh yeah, Nathaniel?
They forgot their top
No,
hat,
Rosie,
so
Rosie, ignore me, sorry.
Johnny doesn't
Yeah.
get a mask.
Yeah.
No costume for Johnny.
No costume or you go with Lincoln, up to you, mate. No fucking costume, buddy. I'll
I'll take my
that.
chances with the fucking CCTV and the entire fucking
He
police
looks
force,
at it, He looks
man.
at it like that when he gets in. Fucking idiot.
So yeah, they go on their last heist, and things
I love
start.
how quick that just happens. It's
Yeah.
just suddenly we're going it, we're
Yeah.
doing it.
We've arrived.
Tension.
Yeah,
Great.
they're there. Things from the jump are not going to plan. Bodhi has gone a bit rogue, and he's like, "Right, guys, get to the vault."
Yeah.
And they're like,
They never do the vault.
"What? We don't do the vault. That's kind of our whole thing, man. That's like,
We're never greedy. We never take the piss.
yeah." And they're like, "Nah, do it." And I like, it's like it's pushing it. It's the ultimate thrill. He
Well,
wants to
yeah.
go further with it, and bringing Utah in is like adding to the sort of the thrill and the risk factor and everything like
kidnapping
that
someone as
too.
well. That's added to the list of crimes and moral.
Yeah,
denigration
things
that
are
they're
getting
going
out of
through
control.
For your whole point.
So the first thing that is they're gonna take the vault. And then because of that, it's not a 90 seconds in and out. They're taking
taking
longer than they
longer.
ever have before. And the guy who's taking the time is like shouting at him constantly, this is how many minutes we've been in. So it's really, it's adding to the stakes for us. And then because of the amount of time that they're taking, there's a guy there who is
An undercover cop.
No,
just
he's
a-
off duty.
That's what I meant. Not
Yeah.
so there's an
undercover.
off-duty cop, but I'm talking about there's a security guard
Yeah.
who like sees the cop's badge and he's like, I'm police as well. Like, I've got a gun. And the off-duty cop is like, nah, man, don't. Like,
Is it-
No, it's the off-duty
it's the other way
cop.
around. It's the
Yeah,
security
it's-
guard that's like, nah, man,
No,
don't.
he's like,
don't.
"Don't
It's
do
the off-duty
this."
cop that pulls out the gun.
Yeah.
is it? I thought
Yeah,
it was
it
around.
is. No, it's
Okay,
not.
so the off-duty cop is gonna pull out his gun, and the security guard's like, "Don't
Daddy.
bother, don't. Why are
Daddy,
you doing
please.
this?"
Please,
Don't
I
hurt
was
that.
about to go on my fucking break.
Don't fucking hurt that,
This
man.
is me just trying to warn Swanee off doing anything irresponsible. I'm like, man, don't do it. Don't. He had an iron yesterday and was swinging it about by the cord.
A low swing. Didn't overhead.
I'd like
yet.
to remind us again not to bring the domestics into the podcast,
This
please.
is a perfect example of Swanee being like, I'm obviously not going to throw the thing at you. I was like, no, not on purpose, man. But you're going to accidentally let go of it or something, and that's how you behead me. Like, there's just so many times a day where I'm like, I know you would never ever do anything that stupid on purpose. It's so likely that you're going to trip and fall and do it by accident.
So
This is it. The man's just like, don't do the stupid thing. Don't do the stupid thing. Please listen to me. Look at me right now. Tell me you're hearing this. Don't pull out your gun. He pulls out the gun.
he
Shit hits
shoots.
the fan.
He shoots Bodhi right in the chest, and
No,
then
it's Keanu he shoots in the chest.
No. He shoots Bodhi in
he
the
shoots
chest.
Bodhi first, and then he shoots Kiana in the chest as well.
Right.
And then, so it's all kind of going tits up at this point, basically. And then you've got the two guys in the vault, who's Gromit and Nathaniel, I believe. I think it's Roach who's taking the time, because he kind of gets shot later. So Gromit's running out, and then the undercover or the off-duty cop then shoots wee Gromit in the neck.
Gromit.
Gromit's the youngest one. He's the most kind of like way crazy, and he's also like the first to be like, "I don't know about this guy," so it kind of hits that a wee bit harder when he gets shot in the neck. And then Bodhi goes and shoots the off-duty cop at this point, and to the security guard.
One other thing as well is that Bodhi has taken his mask off.
Yes.
So that's everything. Everything has gone against
Fucked.
type here. Everything's fucked. So the masks come off. They went longer. They went for the vault. Somebody's been shot.
And they're shooting back.
And they're shooting back. They've lost one of their own. Who they were like, we'll just leave him here, I guess.
Yeah. They have
it's-
survived the shootings, by the way, because they were wearing bulletproof vests. So
Yeah.
they get shot in the chest, and they're all right. They're
Yeah.
fine. But it's heartbreaking when Gromit dies, man. It's really fucking sad.
sad.
It's really fucking sad. And then so now Patrick Swayze's drawn blood, and they are like, right,
And like
Let's
he obviously
fucking go.
seems quite frenzied about that fact, but they also are a bit like, well, like, and you're like, oh man, your whole spiritual thing and everything feels a
I
little
don't think
bit.
they're like, well. I think they're just like, we can't do
We can't
anything
do
about
anything
this
about it. But, like-
because we're not going to sacrifice the whole group
Yeah.
for one who's dead. At this point.
But he doesn't, give himself up and be like, this has gone far enough.
Mm.
He doesn't, you run off and like run into the sea crying or like have a moment to be like, Jesus Christ. The next time so basically what happens now is on his way out, he punches Johnny Utah, knocks him out. Johnny Utah basically wakes up to the cuffs being slapped on him by Babbitt and Durkle or whatever their name was. Babbitt and Alvarez. They're reading them as rights, and Angelo comes in and is like, nah, guys, come on, he's one of ours. Please never face consequences for their action, get those off. So
Realism.
he does. They're like, sent home with their tail between their legs. As soon as they get in their car, they're like, you know where they're going, don't you? Yup. We chase again. We arrive at the airfield.
Oh, before that, by the way, Papa's fucking punches Dr. Cox in the face.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and then is still allowed to run Johnny Utah back to the station, which he obviously doesn't do, which is obscene. There's so many police about at this point. It's a huge crime scene.
People died.
People died. And they're like, fucking Papa's goes and punches Dr. Cox in the face, knocks him out. And then they're like, okay, yeah, you can still run him back, I guess. Like,
Papa's-
what?
He's like, you don't respect your elders. And I'm like, is that what his angle's been this whole time?
Is that it?
He doesn't seem that old to me. No. It's not like he's in his
They
late
seem about-
60s.
They seem
Like,
about the same age. Maybe
Right?
5 or 6 years
Aye.
apart.
I'm like, I don't think this really works as being your whole angle, man. Like, fair enough when he was talking down to Johnny Utah and he's like, I've been working on the force since when you were used to shit in your hands and clap. I don't know. And he gives him this kind of line. It makes sense because he's 25 and he's
Yeah.
also older than him. But I'm like, I don't know if this really works as being your whole reason for being a raging, like, arsehole.
And
Aye.
then they let him take him to the airport, and of course he's like, "Nah, they're not taking him to the station,
station.
quote unquote." And he's like, "Nah, man, I'm taking you to the fucking airport, bro."
Yeah, let's get this guy. So they get there and he's like, dude, this obviously wasn't meant to happen. People have died. Like, give up.
Yeah, this is Johnny Utah to
To
Bodhi.
To Bodhi. So he's like, right, come on. Like, this is not what was meant to happen. I think it's time we stop this. But he's like, nah, I'm loading all my shit in a plane. I'm going to Mexico. And then we kind of have another shootout, which happens quite quickly after the last one.
Yep.
And we lose Nathaniel, R.I.P., my boy. We lose
Pappas.
as well. And
Pappas dies.
it's quite sad because the reason he dies is because he's like, I'm going to shoot Bodhi. And to be fair, Johnny Utah's like, you can't because then
We won't know
Spikey's
who
going to die.
Wee Spikey is, yeah.
And so he's like, nah, don't shoot. But he runs in front of Bodhi kind of to protect him. And then whilst he's doing that, you know, Pappas is still trying to get the shot and then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And
By
that's
Roach.
By Roach.
But he also, at the same time, shoots Roach in the chest. So
Yeah.
Roach is now mortally injured
Wounded.
as well.
Wounded.
So he's like, right, come on, man, this is our last go. We're gonna do this together. Like, we're going to do this to the very end. So he gets Johnny Utah into the plane. He manages to drag fucking Roach into the plane.
Also, this is just me getting packed in an Uber at the end of a night out. And everyone's like, you're fine, man. You're fine.
We're gonna make
Stay
it home.
awake. We're going to get home soon. You're going to be home. It's going
You
to be
can hold the
lovely."
bags.
And I'm just like,
Yeah, you're like Keanu Reeves in that situation. I'm Patrick Swayze, and you're fucking what's his
Roach.
name? Roach. I'm like,
I'm just
yeah,
like,
whoa, we got this. Oh,
slowly
this is the
sliding
I'm like,
down.
we're taking it too far, man.
and you're just like,
it's gone too far.
Swanee, I just want to go home. And I just go, nah, man, we're gonna keep partying. We'll get Abby in.
Oh, Mexico, man, you're gonna have all those margaritas and girls and things.
You're like, I wanna
And
go
I'm
home.
like, I don't want any of that. I'm so tired. But
So
yeah,
anyway, plane takes off. They're in the air
yeah.
over Mexico, presumably.
And they're basically just circling it for ages. The pilot, who, by the way, was like, I don't want to fly you to Mexico anymore, man. I just saw a bunch of people get shot. And he's like, thanks for telling the FBI agent where we're going. And it's like, right, okay. And this like, poor guy is just like flying around. And he's like, I've been circling Mexico for the last half hour. You're going to have to get out of the plane at some point. And he's like, right. And he's like looking at Roach and he's like, oh, right, okay. I guess now. It's never going to be a good time to do this. And he's like, enjoy. He like pushes Roach out of the plane.
He's
With
got
the
all the
parachute,
money.
to be
With the
fair, but
parachute.
still.
Yeah, so it's another skydive scene we're getting. He's got all the cash strapped to him as well. And then him and, he jumps out of the plane. And then Johnny, in an absolute action hero move, jumps out of the plane
After
with
him.
no fucking parachute.
That was cool.
Because
He
he's
just-
not told Rosie to kind of cancel the order, essentially.
Yeah.
He's just jumped out the plane by being like, Wee Spikey's going to die, basically. And he's like, Wee Spikey's no going to die. No
My
today.
Watch. just
It was so
like a
fucking cool.
And then
It's
he
so
catches
hot,
it
man.
and
the
then-
words. He just like he actually flies. Like he takes flight. He jumps out that plane. He's like floating through the
He's
air.
fearless as
gliding.
well.
There's not a bit of fear or hesitation in his face. He knows what he's got to do, and he goes and does it with one practice. It's the second day on the force. He's an undercover surfer. Second time air parachuting. He does it without a parachute.
He's great. He catches up to him.
It's inspired.
And then I love the whole kind of like back and forth they have again, because again
he catches
there's
him.
like a wee bit of sexual tension behind it, because he's like basically he's got his gun in one hand, he's attached to Bodhi in the other hand, and he's like, wait, what hand are you gonna fucking release the parachute with then, man? And he was like, because I'm not gonna do it. And he was like, no, you're gonna have to fucking pull the parachute. And he's like, nah, you do it. Now you do it.
Yeah.
You do it. Like that. And then eventually he has to drop his gun so that he can pull the parachute, and they're like, what, like 800 meters off the ground or something
Yeah.
mental like
They
that.
definitely-
Which
And
I
then
look-
Swanee
which-
was sitting there like, actually that would break their ankles there. Entire
crushed.
spine would
I
go
just say it like that.
Legs both
I was
shattered,
laughing.
all of them shattered, lying on the ground in a
look,
desk.
this was a point of the night where I switched out. I was not in a bad mood as much, but I was trying to be more active with it. But it was just coming out as like really bitchy. This was meant to be, and then they break their legs, of course. But it came across as, and then they fucking break their legs. And I didn't mean that. And I was trying so hard not to be like that, and then clearly failed in that communication effort. But either way. They would have broken the
So
legs.
they
Who gives a
land.
fuck? Don't give me logic. Don't answer the question. They land in New Mexico. They don't. They land in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, they land in Mexico.
Fucking thing
the,
is
the
dead.
first thing we see is just like it is like a sack of shit on
Yeah,
the ground
Roach is
with
dead.
a parachute flailing in the distance.
Yeah.
Bills flying everywhere. They have a bit of a sort of tussle again on the ground. The van shows up with Rosie and Wee Spikey.
Wee Spikey.
Wee Spikey's safe.
She's
and
alive.
presumably has made her peace with being lied to, because she runs to him and she's like, someone who's not going to kidnap and torture
Well,
me.
man, I mean, like, I know that she's not fully aware of what's happened because she's been in the car so far, unless Rosie's been giving her like a live version of what's going
She looked
on.
out the window and saw him.
Fucking Rosie doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't know
But
where
man,
they are.
imagine not forgiving someone after they jump out of a plane without a fucking parachute for you.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's my ex-boyfriend. Perfect. She's watching from the van, like, help is on the way. Lovely. Love that.
No,
for
she's
me.
watching from the van like, oh, fuck's the fuck is he doing?
So, yeah, he obviously has to make that choice of kind of going out. It's almost like implied go after Swayze more or get her, and he fucking goes.
Yeah.
And gets her.
Yeah.
And
How
then-
did they
What
get
can he
out
do
of
at
that
this point?
situation, though? That's a long walk home. Like,
yeah, totally. But
but yeah, so the money's taken off of the corpse of Roach, and they run off into the distance, and then we get
He's
sort of-
basically just gonna like, you're never gonna catch me. That's it.
Yeah.
You tried your hardest, but
he goes,
Never gonna get
Shane,
me."
you told me about the great Australian winter wave that's coming. Shane, you told me that plot detail.
This is basically the last very, very final section of the film. We get a sort of flash forward, we jump ahead in time, and we find out that Johnny Utah has remained on this case.
Yep.
So as
he's
of
still a cop
as of
somehow.
entire time in the FBI so far, he's never solved this one case. He's still on this one case. He's proven himself in no other way. And again, like, to take stock, we've lost a couple of meth dealers. We've lost one undercover cop. There's one off-duty cop. Three
Lost Papas.
3 surfers. We've lost Papas, his partner. A lot of death. No arrests. No recovery of money, funds, anything.
Loss
And
of
someone
money.
was kidnapped,
Mm-hmm.
tortured.
But more money was lost.
A lot of public funds. Again, the mishandling of taxpayer dollars. Not great in this film.
Big theme.
No crimes have been solved.
Nope.
No perpetrators have been apprehended.
Well, I guess crimes have been solved, but they've not been closed. They know who's done it, but he's away. They're all dead, and the other one's in Australia trying to catch a wave.
Yeah.
Great.
So he's followed them across these different places. So he's like, I went to every place in New Mexico looking for you, couldn't find you anywhere. Followed you all the way to Fiji. Think I missed you by a week. Found fucking Rosie there. He was like, what, a hunk of meat or whatever he
I
called
think
him.
he just wanted to hang out with him. I think he's just like, my
Hey,
pals
man,
at
can you
Fiji
teach me more
this week.
surfing so I can do that big wave with you, bro?
Like, but this is the thing. It's like, so he's fucked everything up. He's been the worst cop of all time. Got so many people killed, and his contribution has been to learn how to surf, go to a bunch of parties, go skydiving, and then go on an international holiday for a year. Just thought he's like, oh yeah, it was so hard, man. I've traced you from place to place. Names every one of the most beautiful holiday destinations on the planet. Yeah, because you surfed. I've gone to all the most amazing beaches with the most amazing surfing.
And then he even
locations.
says, he's like, do you still surf? Like, Bodhi says that to him and he's like, every day. So he's still got time to fucking surf every day as well.
Final sequence then.
So he
raining.
confronts him on the beach.
Come on the beach, it's raining as fuck. All the other surfers are like, yeah, man, too dangerous, too dangerous.
We're in Australia.
And
in
this
Australia.
is what I knew about Point Break before I watched it, is that I went on holiday with my dad once when I was like a kid, and it was raining, and we had that Scottish attitude of like, well, we've come to the beach, so we're going to sit on the
I'm gonna
beach.
sit on the beach. It's
And
been
everyone
great,
else
fuck
was
it.
like running off the beach in like droves. And my dad was like, she feels like the last scene of Point Break. And that is exactly what the last scene of Point Break is. It's just Johnny Utah, stony faced, walking towards the
Yeah.
beach as everyone else is like, are you crazy? It's the 50-year storm, man. Like running past him.
And I love that sequence, and they just talk on the beach, and he's very much, he forces the handcuffs onto Bodhi, and it's very much like, yep, that's it, you're caught, you're fucked. And then the FBI are showing up and everything as well.
Yeah. I mean, before that, we have one of my favourite lines in the entire film, which is when Keanu Reeves goes, you gotta go down. You cross the line, people trusting you and they died.
He's like, I trusted you, man. I thought we were pals.
You were my pal, man.
the
You were
thing
my
is-
best pal.
This is when we also get the line from Bodhi where he's like, guess this time you're not going to get your guy, Johnny Utah. And it's like, I know you've not been here for a bit, but we're still at zero. We're still, he's
you're
never
the
got
first
his
guy
man.
that he's
This
trying
is
to
the
get.
first guy. This is the closest he's going to come to getting a guy.
Anything,
But we're now presented with, this is obviously the setup. We've discussed the fact that this is going to be a pretty difficult wave to ride and survive, and it's looking more insane than ever. We get a lot of exposition from people running away saying like, there's no way you're gonna, that's suicide, man. So we get there, it's just Bodhi on the beach, and he's like, right, you're not. I'm not letting you ride this wave. I'm going to arrest you. That's justice, kind of thing.
FBI, cops, Australian police showing up.
Bodhi appeals to the wild side of him. I think he even handcuffs
Yeah,
him
that's
too.
what I'm saying. He handcuffs him.
He handcuffs himself too, so that he can't
You
go
can't
away. He can't
escape,
surf.
yeah. Told him you go quietly.
Yeah, where we can tell that, you know, there's people surrounding him. They're all gonna. I don't know why they've brought so many men in to get this one guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
showing everything that he's done, fucking all precautions. They always do that anyway.
Yeah.
What? He's a
sure.
criminal who shot a couple of people, and we've got like helicopters and like maybe like 60 different like.
Well, he's a
Australian police
master
officers.
escapist as well.
Yeah.
They've been
I get
searching for him
you.
for a year.
I
They're
get
like, I
you.
don't want to take
Anyway,
any
we're
chances.
applying logic. We're applying too much logic.
So
We're
yeah,
We
here.
get there, he appeals to the side of him. He's like, "This is it, man. This, you know, there's no cliffs on either side. What am I going to do? Swim to New Zealand?"
he goes, I'm not gonna paddle to New Zealand.
Yeah, he just wants to ride it, and he does appeal, as you say, to that wild side of Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. And I do like that he just goes fuck it and lets him go out because
Yeah.
he knows he's going to die. He knows they're not going to. He's not going to get away. He's going to let
Yeah.
him ride that wave.
The cops are like, oh, we'll get him when he's back, and he's like, he's not coming back, and that's the last line
And
of
he,
the film.
and he tosses his
he tosses
as he
that.
tosses his badge into the sand, which is a
Yeah.
really cool ending. And then we get some great shots of
As
the
he should
surfing.
have on his first day of policing.
Yeah, as he should have on the first day of
But
policing.
he
But yes.
essentially did. Like, let's be honest. Zero placement has been achieved. Once again in this film, we've wasted a lot of tax funds and we've achieved nothing.
Just for him to realise, you know what? I want to be a surfer more than I want to be a police officer.
What do you
Yeah.
think he did after this? To like
Surf.
fund the surfing?
I genuinely, I think he just went.
Robbed banks.
Aye.
Rob Hanks to fund his surfing addiction.
Based on,
That's actually a very good idea.
Hey, yeah, he had it right. Just don't go crazy and kidnap people. Just don't have a Rosie on your team and you're fine.
So, yeah,
We're at the end.
we're at the end.
Is
That's
Rosie,
it.
Is Rosie the rogue?
Oh, also Rosie died. Oh, we kind of
talked
covered
about-
that. a
we
lot
talked
earlier.
about
Rosie's
it. We
meat.
talked about Rosie
Yeah,
the
Rosie's
Rosie's meat.
in Fiji,
that's
I
it.
guess.
Yeah,
Fiji
that's the
meat.
end. But no, that last shot, the last surfing shot is great. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, it's cool. He's going
it
into
does
this
look
massive,
so-
terrifying looking
I don't even
wave.
know if it's real or not, but it was great.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So
I
he
mean, I know
dies.
the wave is real. But I don't
He
know
catches
if it's a
the
stunt
ultimate
double or-
ride.
Yeah, and he dies, and we
Yeah.
see him, and of course he does. The
Yeah.
fucking weight of it crushing down.
So, yeah, we're at the end of the film.
Should we vote on Rogues Gallery for once and for all, just so we've got it?
Okay,
Okay.
my vote. Anthony Cadeas, gotta be.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Red Hot Chili Surfer.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
No, I just want to know where I stand on it.
Okay.
Probably him because he is funnier. But Rosie makes me question a lot.
Rosie,
I
I
Rosie,
think Rosie was up for grabs. I thought it was going to be Pappas or Red Hot
Well,
Chili Surfer,
yeah.
but to be fair, they were all good
Yeah, there's a lot of
nominees.
them.
Yeah.
Honorable mention.
Rosie lying on the sand and spitting beer into the fire is such a roguish moment.
And him holding with the knife and all his plan, an idea that Rosie's the more extreme one that we don't see
Yeah.
a lot of.
Uh-huh.
It's weird, man.
So yeah,
but
we've
for
got
comedy's sake, it's got
Red Hot Chili Surfer.
Red Hot Chili Surfer, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Right, couple of critics saying things very quickly. I thought this was quite good. Cut this out. Let me get it up again. Apparently I got rid of it. Fucking. Okay. Couple of critics talking about it. Some things I'd like to get your thoughts on. General consensus: Rotten Tomatoes. Absurd, over the top, and often wildly entertaining. Point Break is here to show you that the human spirit is still alive.
yep,
Yeah, I would agree with
I think
that.
that's actually a really, really good summation of it.
yeah,
It's got generally positive reviews. It was pretty well received at the time, and it's kind of developed a cult following now. Roger Ebert at the time gave it 3.5 stars out of 4 and wrote Bigelow. So let me know what you think about this. Bigelow is an interesting director for this material. She is interested in the ways her characters live dangerously for philosophical reasons. They aren't men of action, but men of thought who choose action as a way of expressing their beliefs.
yeah,
And I thought that was a pretty fucking good
Yes.
summation. of it.
yeah. It's a good summation.
And that's
I
what I
mean,
was so surprised. I was like, as I said, I thought it was just going to be this vacuous, silly action film that was going to spend too much time like on the ocean. I didn't think it was going to have much heart,
yeah.
and it does.
I mean, there's like a bit by the fire pit where he's like, we're not doing this for money. We're just doing this because we hate the establishment. We hate
Yeah.
people telling us what to do, basically. And this is like every way that you can rebel against society, against socially, just like doing it in any way they can possibly, just like taking the piss all the time. So yeah,
I think
would
that's
agree.
the thing. I love, like because you really start to get very seduced by the philosophy of the bank robbers, particularly with Bodhi, because he's so charismatic and so persuasive, and it's when things start to go wrong and you see what lack of regard he actually has for his brothers and human life, and this sort of spiritualist view that he has about anti-establishment and everything, but he's willing to put other people in harm's way for his own personal gain. And he does have this sort of, it's a shame because you're like, oh yeah, it is hollow, it kind of is bullshit, but the theory behind it, a lot of what they're sort of putting forward, you're like, yes, I agree with that. And then it's when things start to go tits up, you're like, no, he's got his own goal, and a lot of his belief and things like that, he doesn't actually stand by it.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things is not just that it's like, oh, it's bullshit and it's kind of empty. It's more just that he values freedom more than anything else, and if that is at the detriment to his pals and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what he's like. At the end, he's like, I cannot be in a cage.
If you want the ultimate ride, you've got to pay the ultimate price.
Yeah.
But he kind of is willing to make that decision for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You see it a lot in like, you see it a lot in like other parts of other fiction as well. Like even something like Red Dead Redemption 2 has a character like that. Where it's very much, hey, yeah, we're doing this, but they're leading the gang and they kind of lead the gang into it. It's like quite a nice trope that they play on, and the film is full of these tropes. So having this kind of charismatic leader that gets in over their head and causes people to fall, as a result of him keeping on pushing it, is a good trope to use, and they do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my only. Yeah, no, that's it. Cut that bit. Last thing I wanted to point to, this is just talking about its legacy. Obviously, it's a cult following. This one that I found from Rolling Stones, the Rolling Stone magazine. They called Point Break the greatest female gaze action movie ever, citing the bodily condition of Reeves and Swayze, calling it a wet western.
And now we're so
Great. I knew you'd like that one.
Yeah,
So,
no.
right, ratings out of 10 then. How we want to
10.
do this? 10, right? Straight out the bat.
100%. Gave it a 9 when we first watched it, as you were present for that. And I was like, I think I need to watch it again to see if it was a 9 because I was excited by all the new things and the action, and really I would like change my rating upon a second watching and probably be like a 7.5 and 8 or something like that. And then I watched it again on Sunday, and I was just like, just as taken in with the action, but then I could quote all the bits and I knew what was happening, and I was still like, oh my god. So yeah, 10. It's amazing. I couldn't fault it personally.
Fair.
I can fault the logic, but I don't care. So it's a 10.
It's not important. I would say it's a 9 for me. I kind of split it on an 8 or a 9, but I think after having watched it this time, I'm like, yeah, it's a 9. I love this film. I have liked this one for a really, really long time. But for me, there are just a couple of other films that I'm like, oh, that's a 10. And this just isn't quite... Basically, it's not Dirty Dancing. It's not my favourite Swayze film.
Contrary, I think it probably is my favourite Swayze film. I've not seen too many. I like Ghost, don't love it. I like Dirty Dancing, don't love it. And I really like this. I don't fully love it, but I love a lot of parts of it, especially the relationship between Swayze and Keanu. I really like Swayze's performance. As I said to you, it's kind of like... It's very easily enigmatic, very easily personable. As soon as you see it, you know the character, and you're feeling what's the word for it? You're honoured to be watching this kind of magnetic person. It's kind of like Jude Law in Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yes.
And on that same note, that's my one thing about Keanu being cast. As good as it is for the hokey silliness, and the more I watch it, I will probably come to appreciate him more in it. But I think we could have maybe explored something a bit more akin to how Matt Damon's portrayed in Talented Mr. Ripley.
Matt Damon.
Forget the
It's
actor.
never good in anything.
He's good in that film.
Do not
Watch
compare him to Keanu Reeves.
No, I'm talking
I don't
about the
care if it's
characters.
an opinion.
I'm talking
It's
about
wrong.
I'm not talking about the actors. I'm talking about the characters. I feel like they could have really dove into the character of Keanu a bit more, and it could have been interesting. But then it might not have been the movie that they wanted it to be, which is fair enough. But that for those reasons, and I guess some of the lack of development with Rosie, that kind of clumsiness of the her getting kidnapped and what that means, and just maybe the general. Maybe it could be trimmed a little bit for me. I'd give it a 7, but definitely could go up in future watchings.
Nice.
Good.
Like there's definitely
I think
8 or 9 scenes.
It's
In
not
it.
like the least divisive one. Well, to be fair, we were all pretty on the same page about 17 again, but but with emphasis. Like I feel
On
as
the
if that's probably the
negative.
most we've like agreed, despite the fact we've disagreed on a lot of opinions.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
bits of the film.
Like, it's close
we
to me.
agreed a lot on Twilight and
Yeah, fair.
and Goldfinger. Do you know? I think that you're just like still stuck on 17 again, which I think everyone is a wee bit. We're all a bit scarred from 17 again.
I messaged you earlier and I was like, was that last week we did 17 again? Because it feels like about 3 years ago. I think that's because I feel like a completely different person to what I was before we recorded that
I
podcast.
literally looked at that message and I was like, that was a week ago, and I just
It wasn't
fucking-
even a week ago, it's a week ago tomorrow.
I just threw the phone away. I was like, I can't even think about it. I can't even think about that.
So just quickly, I'd like to go over the budget just because leading and from I.
Do you want me
you
to
know-
tell you the budget?
No, well, I know the budget, but Abby, I imagine, doesn't know the budget.
Mm-mm.
But I know what the budget is, and I just want to tell you that the budget was less than 17 again, quite considerably.
Yes.
I mean, I know that it's different
Adjusted for
times.
inflation.
No,
just,
no,
just less.
just less. I mean, I know there's quite a lot of time in between them, but it's quite a lot
I think
less.
a lot of that will be the wage that will be going towards Zac Efron and
I
Matthew.
know, but it was Patrick Swayze and
Perry.
Keanu Reeves. Like they'd already established
Reeves hadn't
themselves
really-
in Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted. He
Yeah,
was
but
in Bill and
that-
Ted.
That's not an action movie.
I know, but
I mean, has he done Speed by that point?
I don't think so.
I
But
don't
he
think-
had done Bill and
he hadn't
Ted.
done
He had.
Matrix yet either.
It was known enough. I mean, like Bill and Ted
but-
was quite big.
But Bill and Ted would get him funding and get paid for a comedy film, but it might not get him high pay for an action film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but like either way, maybe it was the script as well, because sometimes actors take lower pays for the script. But yeah, what was it again? I'm thinking it's like 21 million.
20 million,
20
21 million, around that. Yeah,
I remember reading that.
half. Them.
21 million, I guess.
Yeah, why did you not let her guess?
Oh, sorry. I didn't, do you want to redo that and pretend that?
No.
it's fine.
Sorry, I thought you were asking me to guess it as well. Sorry.
But you knew. Why?
I didn't. I thought I knew. I couldn't. Sorry. What would you have guessed, Abby?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult when you know. I think I probably definitely thought it'd be more than that, just because of like the amount of like action sequences that there are, particularly with the surfing and things. Like that can't be.
There's a burning car
Yeah, like
and multiple. We know that there was at least 55 skydives that they had to
Yeah, right.
film. Apparently,
that's got to be quite expensive to do.
Aye.
A lot of planes.
Not of planes.
And-
Swayze's own planes.
That is a pretty like decent going,
Right.
Catherine Bigelow.
Good,
I know.
Good use of money.
Efficient.
efficient.
Hey, James Cameron and well, they were together, and I think they were together at the time that they did this. They were husband.
They
and
did,
wife.
yeah. That's why they
They
wrote
were
on
very
it
good
together.
at. If you look at some of their work, they're very good at like getting the most out of their budgets at that time period.
Mm.
Like, even now, well, I mean, Cameron gets access to all the fucking money now,
Yeah.
and you can see that when you look at his CGI monstrosities. like Avatar
Catherine
and
Bigelow's like,
Avatar
I'd have done Titanic for a 10-hour make.
2. But
So
no, it's interesting.
we're at the end.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of our Point Break review. Again, as usual, we have not picked which film we're going to watch next week, so that'll be as much a surprise to us as it is to you. But thank you very much for watching
Yeah, guys.
or listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stuff, nice.
Right, get me home. No, I'm joking. I'm not. But
Right. Bang on 10 o'clock.
That was about like 2:40 or something.
2:30.
Is that what it says in the thing?
2:35.
2:35. Nice.
Hey,
Yeah, so again, pretty much on point for them.
pretty like
They're all,
Consistent.
consistent, yeah.
they are all very consistent.
oh, okay.
So,